still above $2 and still holding. That 220, by the way, went to $2.19. That level on the daily holding pretty much to the penny. If I get a chance, not on this stock, well, I don't think we'll get a chance to fade Beyond Meat today. So we might have paid for those locates in vain. Beyond Meat went to 91 cents and turned right back around. There will be no $1 fade on Beyond Meat today. But what we do have is some peppercorn that will
yuck.
We'll give it a shot.
Oh, give it a shot.
It'll be better than yesterday. And we'll throw you over to Jarif and Joe. Joey Options, the professor, go get them. We'll see you back at about 150 or so.
See ya.
Dun, 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 dun. We need some entrance music, bro. Yoikeresh, boom. Oh, don't remind me about the L that we took on the weekend, bro. To Manchester United of all teams. Goodness gracious. Greetings and salutations, beautiful people. Welcome to the Midday Show. This is your boy Joey Options, and we're not going to poke him today, maybe tomorrow. And I'm Sharif.
You can poke at me, man. I drank an espresso today. And
You're flying. You're flying. I love it.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Greetings, guys. Let's see who's joining us in the chat. Everyone's a little late today. Shout out to Blackhawk, Durant. We got Evan. We got Jody. We got Jacques. We got Avils MP. And then that's it. Then nobody else is here. We always have the OG Darwin, the trader. Come on, YouTube. Let's go. Bring in everybody, man. Let's go. Shout out to Bristol, 69. Anybody else? Nope. We're going to have to wait for everybody to come on in. We all right. We got Vader was framed. I like that. MA. We got Mr. Bones PR. Shout out to who? Fault Tolerant. Table Jones. Tilster. Grant Gordon. Lake Burgess. We got Jay Van D. Way. Juan Padilla. Shout out to Sophie. Sophie, Skittles, Ghastly. We got Nelly LOL, Bastone. We got Grant Ratcliffe as well. Shout out to Pharmaquatics, Juan Padilla. Don't do that. They might tell you have tardive dyskinesia or whatever that is. Randy, Ryan O'Day, I should say, infamous Taco Supreme. Okay. We got Grunfeld, CALC, he's saying. All right, we're going to look at those in a minute. Well, let's just say hi to everybody. Troy, Peterson Coach. Mike PD right there. We got 2006 Jeep Limited 57L. I'm assuming that's 5.7 liter V8, baby. I'm all about that life. Sit and Spin, Dexter Smith, BJO 9000, Danny Day Trizzy. Good morning to everybody. Trizzy.
Yeah.
Good morning, Joey.
All right, guys, let's see what we got going on here this morning. Sharif's already got it going on.
I don't have anything, man. It's breaking out, though, Joey.
It's breaking out. We like seeing that, guys. Only 2 trades today this morning, and that is going to be a short on SBUX. Looking for the opening price, we started to piece them out. We're sitting on approximately 50% of our, exactly 50% of our remaining. Our next little out is going to be over at 98 if we're fortunate enough to get that, as we're starting to take a little bit of a dive to the southeast here. But attempt number 1 didn't go our way, no problem. As the price action to the top side was looking relatively weak, just trying to go with the flow here. A curl over is what I was looking for, and then sure enough, boom, we get this entry, and then bang, 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 we piece out 50% on these 3 partials right here. 98 going to be that next level. And now I'm looking for a potential short here on SLV. The volume is most definitely to the downside in my opinion, so this is what I'm looking at right here. You can see the increase in the volume profile. Guys, what's that? Someone say, is that Adam James there?
It is not, but you know, like, bro, if you're a Cowboys fan, if you're an Arsenal fan, you just have to deal with this kind of stuff. It's trolling central. Can I read this here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Lisberto Calvo 9437, $4.99, $5 super chat. Reads as follows: Arsenal is like a Netflix series. You always have to wait until next season. Let's have a meeting day in the market today, man. Runners up 3 years in a row. And now, you know, we're only 5 points ahead of City because we can't, you know, finish the job on the weekend. Dude, it's just killer. I know how you feel, though. You pretend like you're not a Leafs fan anymore, but we know
I'm not.
you are. Come on, bro.
I'm telling you, I'm not lying, man. I dropped those guys faster than you can spell it. Essentially, they're Sharif. Yeah, no, I'm just sick of it. I don't like anybody on the team anymore. Morgan Riley should have been gone a long time ago. I can go on all day about this.
I know you can.
Yeah, so Joe as the GM, the future GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs, maybe I should apply and see if we can get rocking and rolling, because Brad, Trey Living, and everything to do with the MLSE has just been horrid. But anyways, all right, guys, 90. Pardon me.
You're going hard.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I haven't been happy, man. I think it makes me sick. It makes me want to puke, to be honest with you, just talking about those guys. Yeah, so here it is, guys. We're still sitting in some Starbucks. 2.7%, we're still positive here on the day. 98 is going to be that next potential out. Volume really starting to cool down here. So let's see if we're fortunate enough to get that level. I'll trailing stop this just a little bit north of this previous pivot high. If we break that, then I'll just get out of Dodge, accept whatever unrealized that it is. And then sure enough, bang, we'll look for another opportunity. As silver is still consolidating above the volume weighted average price, selling pressure, buying pressure, selling pressure, buying pressure. You get the gist of things. But let's go over on what we're looking at here today. So we're going to start it off with the TQs on the SP and the SPY, slowly starting to grind a little bit lower here and heading towards. I was looking at this at the TQs yesterday in the post market. I'm like, what is going on here as we continuously grind higher, and then a strong pre-market as well too, and then sure enough, bang, off to the downside, and then there's SLV, SBUX, and then AT&T, AT&T was also on my radar as well, guys. So a nice quiet one. 2 trades, 1 for 1 right now. Nicely ITM on SBUX. I can do a little bit of a transaction so you guys can see my average price. That'll put me down to 40% of my remaining position. We'll take 10% off right here for the folks. And the position board showing us in at $100.43. We're now at $98.54, so almost $2 ITM on that boy.
All right. Feed breaking through 250. It is a 258 high. But as we always expect, you know, you go through that whole dollar, you go through that half dollar, the shorts are eyeing it, the profit takers are eyeing it, so we're going to get a red candle here typically. So your boy's working his way in. We're in at 38. We're 20 pennies off the high at the moment, so we're looking to build the position. Now, my levels are as follows. We are extended, mind you, right? All right, I have to probably put some profit takers over here. So let's go ahead and put, then we're going to wait at 49. Just before I kind of start pontificating about my levels, give me a second here. So my levels are as follows. I like that. Well, obviously, I'm looking at the 10 EMA on the 5. You guys know how I trade. That's showing 206, 207, right? So that's area number 1 that I'm eyeing. But let's actually bring in the black charts. Let this kind of, we'll show this on a large time frame here. So looking right away at that 10 EMA on the 5, but that's quite deep, right? So where's prior bar high? Because, well, not prior bar high, well, the one before that, the 1055 candle, that takes us up to about 220. So we have a bit of a consolidation area, I want to say, into that 210, which is just a little bit north of that 10 EMA on the 5. So I'm going to be looking at adding, I think, on every 10 penny incremental, okay? Because you just don't know how this one's going to act, right? You want to wait in for 210, 215. It doesn't give you that. Maybe it makes a low of 230, and then you're just left there, you know, with what in your hands. And you're like, all right, well, I guess I'm not trading this, right? So 258 high, as I mentioned. We're going to work in, though, into some previous technical levels. I think I already got a beak wetter there into the high 40s, but I'm not expecting this to take out 50 that easily. So we're going to work our way down. We're going to keep an eye out on this. By the way, $2 an obvious area of support, not just because it's the psychological area of support, but look at that 930 implied balance high on volume, by the way, the second largest volume candle on the day. This volume candle here, 4.3 million shares traded there. So there's a lot of, you know, price action supported by volume at this $2 level. We're going to be looking at it if it is to give up the 10 EMA on the 5. So that's going to be, you know, kind of my line in the sand. This thing's up 131%. And just to give you some more details on it, the float, 2.7 million shares. And if anybody has a short float, I'd love to know about it. I don't have my program open for that right now. So feed, not too bad, not too bad. Now, BNAI, I'm going to have to trade this carefully because I had a decent day yesterday, but BNAI was by far the biggest loser I had, and that put me negative on the day. And the reason is I acted like a schmuck trading this, right? It was negative on the day. I insisted on trying to take it long. And, you know, by the time we had a couple of good trades, we were just too negative on it to make it up. So we're going to trade BNAI carefully, especially now because it's a $70 name. Alas, it's coming into the volume weighted average price right around that $70 area. It found a general area of support there earlier. I'm talking about that 1010, 1015 candle, which, yes, of course, it does breach VWAP on a strict basis, but within 2 candles, it was right above the volume weighted average price, and then it went on to make the high of the day at 86.28. It's dilly-dallying right now north of the volume weighted average price. It's more like $70 support. The low of this candle, 70.50 on the dot. The high, 75.58. So what is that telling you immediately? Well, one candle over here has got $5 worth of range, and that's a small candle, mind you. Like, look at this 1040 candle. High 82.26, low 73.50. It's essentially a $10 range in and around that area. So you need to be careful on BNAI just because of the price and the volatility. We're going to pause for a second. We got to go to the big desk with Adair.
Just be aware here, U.S. President Trump set to begin his remarks at the Trump Accounts event. I'll be following that live. They're currently playing his intro music as he walks up to the podium. If anything market making or market moving is said, I will let you know. And it's worth noting, there are public company CEOs, executives represented at this event, at least virtually. Ahead of this announcement, they played pre-recorded videos from executives at Visa, Broadcom, and IBM, basically expressing their support for the initiative. I will keep you guys posted. Trump just standing in front of the audience. Looks like he's about to start speaking. Back to you.
Well, I think Intel is going to be there, and Intel was making an announcement as well that they're going to actually match these Trump account things for their employees.
Okay.
So interesting to see that corporations are kind of jumping on that whole bandwagon.
I like that. I like it when corporations
jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah, and give you a little bit of shares here and there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Right?
It's just like they're matching the contributions of their employees.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that.
I like that.
Yeah,
a lot
absolutely.
of companies do that. Bell
agree.
Canada,
they did that?
do that. Yeah, for every share you bought, you got one too.
That's smart.
Yeah, right.
And so then you're actually investing in the company, which is a way for them to get your money too, but they're also matching it.
Exactly. So, all right, guys. Yeah. Okay. Wampadilla. Ooh. Okay. I was going to say something, but that's not appropriate for the show.
What happened?
Phil, you at 670, going to keep a good
6'7".
6'7". Yeah. All right, guys. What I was saying earlier, I drink an espresso, and you guys know my body with caffeine, not so good. But yeah, I mean that stuff is hectic. Here we go. We take a little bit more off on SBUX. We're going to be continuously looking for some plays here. My boy Gaurav is long. Some Palantir. Is that starting to work out as it's slowly starting to creep a little bit lower there, my brother? If you hold this base, then I think you can be off to the races. Not bad volume, nice buying pressure stepping in there. Just keep an eye on the downtrend. You know Neil's going to be keeping an eye out on that for sure. Maybe not Palantir, but within trends itself. And then sure enough, if that breaks, until you get an open up above there, then maybe that continuation might continue. Or yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Continuation might continue. But what's up with TXN? Here you go. A nice little bull flag starting to be formed from a daily. How we looking? It's been tough for quite some time, but a nice rebound off of those November lows. You're going to grab a whopping 40%. That's what the numbers I like talking about here on TXN. Not always the cleanest, like a lot of sideways consolidation. Okay, can you just say something to me, Andre? Maybe I can hear you. Okay, perfect. Yeah, thank you very much. Much appreciated for that. BBAI, Sean's been talking about this one for quite some time. Okay, no, that's cyber. Let's head back over to BBAI. Okay, a lot of liquidity, but you're starting to dump a little bit here from a high of around 656 to a low of around $6. That's 7% to the downside. Now, silver is difficult today. Until we start to curl over, I might not engage on the short, but I am going to look to go back to it, right? Yesterday worked really well for us. Probably our second, I think it was our second best performer on yesterday's session. I forget what else I traded. I can pull that up for you momentarily. AAL. Yeah, AAL and SLV were definitely our best trades. Now we're sitting in some StarBucks, attempt number 2, rocking and rolling. Same thing yesterday. Rich Tech Robotics, I missed the long on the reload. We took the one attempt. We get out for a small W, but then we never got back in for that stronger leg. And I'm like, you know what? That is not going to happen again here on AAL. And then sure enough, we had the opportunity to take yesterday AAL short. Same thing here with StarBucks, just a little bit early on the curl over, but fortunate enough for it to start working out for us. I do believe that we can run into that $96 mark. And what are we going to correlate that price with? That is going to be this 5-minute opening drive. So if we're already going to give back the majority of this move, I think we have a good opportunity to head back and maybe even south of that opening print on the earnings report, Sharif.
All right, we're taking scalps on feed over here, but it's a 2-candle red setup. I got 35s on. The best print that I've got is actually at 49. I'm waiting for this to sort of establish its base. You know, we typically see this when there's a big breakout candle like the one at 11 o'clock on the dot, the range of which 208 low, 249 high. Right? So you get that big breakout candle, 2, 3 candle, sometimes a 4 candle pullback. That's why I'm trying to build into the position over here, but we're going to continue to take some scalps on it and see what we can do on this one now. Shout out to Yannick. Yannick, basically, what the hell? What are you saying over there, Darwin? What is that nuclear strikes, brother? You're scaring me over there with those statements.
Yeah, we don't want that. If there's any form of that,
Darwin.
Sharif, if there's any of that, you'd see the market absolutely plummet.
Well, I know. Maybe there was some sort of watch or something. But Joey, I wanted to mention, did you hear about SpaceX and the new IPO price that they're talking about coming?
I don't even want to know.
It ain't a trillion anymore. Try $1.5 trillion. Yeah, that's what was being discussed this morning. So DXYZ, you know, sometimes looked at as a conduit of, okay, gotcha, Darwin, gotcha. Looked at as a conduit for, you know, SpaceX, they have investments in that, but also look at EchoStar. EchoStar as well has been sort of a vicarious play for SpaceX, so keep that in mind. DXYZ looking fantastic over here. Big bull flag breakout right at 9:30, and we took out the top. It was a $34 resistance level. That's in the past now, because we're looking at 34.27 as the high of the day, so we're going to look for 34 retracement over here on DXYZ, possibly looking for a dip trade in and around that level, but this one is in play. OKLL is OKLO, so I see what you're kind of talking about there, why you were talking about that, Darwin. Thank you. OKLL, this is a 2 times, I think, long derivative for OKLL. Let me just double check that before I give you inaccurate information. Result of 2 times the daily percentage of OKLO fund is, okay, so it is, yeah. So it's a long, it's not inverse. 25.04 high, feels like a flat top break. It's a symphony of higher lows into that $25 level. So this one could be a nice move as well. The volume on this is 3.14 million shares, and a $25 name is a little bit light. I haven't quite looked at the spread to see what kind of spread we're dealing with here, but it's up 12.5%. Traded carefully, but it does look quite good here on the chart pattern. I've weaseled into BNAI. I'm giving this to the low of this doji candle over here. We're currently putting in higher lows and higher highs. I'm looking at taking this possibly into 80. I see some resistance there at $80. We'll have to see how that ends up working. So we talked about that. AZI was a good one, but this one's going to lose its spot on the side chart momentarily. VELO, this is also looking really good. But, you know, is this a small cap gapper strictly? I don't think so, right? Velo 3D, yeah, okay, 390 million shares, or sorry, $390 million market cap. Not bad, up about 14.8% on the day. Looks like it definitely had a resistance at 15, but we've since cleared that. And now it looks like we're using 15 as support generally. You don't look at, you know, to the penny. It's that general $15 hold. We're showing 16.07 right now with a 16.27 high. This is looking good as well, but I gotta tell you, the pickings are a little slim today for strict small cap gappers. You're seeing SLGB lose it. BNAI, well, we'll have to kind of see about that one. AZI is kind of selling off. There were some big ones in the pre-market as well that have since given up the ghost. MRNO is, you know, down 22.5% since the bell rung. That was up quite aggressively in the morning. SEGG is basically doing no volume. No, that's not accurate. Give me a sec here to look. It's doing volume, about 11.5 million shares, but it's trading below the volume weighted average price. So I don't necessarily like it. So we're going to really try to focus on feed and maybe even DXYZ, OKLL if I can get a good setup into that level. But it's going to be really the feed show today, Joey. If we can get through that $0.50, it looks like we're not really giving up that far off the highs, which is kind of promising. I haven't taken any more entries since that 232 ad. We'll be looking possibly now at that 220. 220 now is the 10 EMA on the 5. So we'll see how that one works, Joe.
All right, guys, good stuff there. Just reading through some of the comments in the chat. 2NY, what is the deal with SoFi since rate cuts? It's been pretty much flat earnings in this week. What do you make of it? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of names, right, that just been on monster runs, and it's unfortunately that we just can't continuously climb higher. A nice little bounce up there in SBUX, but that's where I stand with names like SoFi and the Robinhoods, is that you have to cool down, especially after the percentage returns. they're just so monstrous, right? So things will start to cool down. You're not always going to climb higher and higher every day. You are stuck in a consolidation, but it's the same thing. Like, so you have this, look up Wyckoff. If you haven't read the Wyckoff theory, then this is essentially what we got going on. And in my opinion, what might happen. So you have let's actually make this a little bit bigger. So you kind of have this accumulation phase, boom, 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 and then you have this phase, I forget what it's called, but then eventually you're going to start to distribute to the downside. But then once you find that bottom, you can start to climb again, but you have to take into consideration the fact that you go from $8 all the way up to $32. That's 280%, right? Like in the span of a little bit more than a year, I think even less. So yeah, that's, I mean, half a year, a little bit more, so 3/4 of a year. And same thing with the Robinhoods and the NVDAs, is that you just go on these monstrous runs. Things will eventually start to cool down, and once they start to break through these support levels, you have Robinhood going from $28 to $150. Like, get that garbage out of here, says Jack Armstrong, for those who happen to watch Raptors basketball. It's absolutely not garbage, but you have these phases, and eventually you'll start to see these pullbacks, but look to get involved once these trend lines start to break, right? Like, this is still fully intact. We can head over to NVDA as well, too, and see what we got going on. It's the same narrative, essentially. So just be prepared, and that's why I'm happy to slowly grab these things. In my opinion, I think by the end of 2026, we see NVDA around $250. It's just going to take some time. This is going to be one of the strongest names. You can't compare it really to Robinhood or SoFi. Just completely different business models. And sure enough, I think what we got going on right here, we can break a little bit higher. But let's head over to Adair and see what she's got going on.
Dell moving higher. Trump just said that he hopes everyone goes out and buys a Dell computer, saying that his son Barron loves them. So, while mentioning the contributions that Michael Dell and his wife Susan have made to the Trump accounts, President Trump is saying, I hope you all go out and buy a Dell computer. Again, his son apparently swears by them. So, back to you.
Got him, Donald.
Yeah, I mean, get it. Yeah. Hey, let's go take a look at Dell. I know Dara just brought it up for us momentarily, but Sharif, if you're not buying a Dell computer now, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what anybody's doing, really. So go out there and buy Dell. Don't buy the shares just yet, because sure enough, you're going to get a little bit of a pump. No, I'm not. Zero.
You're not going to buy a Dell, Joey?
I think that was like my grandparents used to buy Dell computers. My grandma still has her Dell computer, but I think we're I think because I think we're past the Dell phase, right? So many people making their custom computers and stuff like that. I think
that's actually a good point.
You know what I mean?
My first laptop was a Dell.
Was it Dell?
In first year of university.
Yeah.
Dell Inspiron 8200. I need to see it immediately.
Pull it up there, man.
I got to pull it up. We got to pull up right now.
This ancient thing.
Oh, dude, it was one of those square, like brick ones. Thick. Yeah. Dell Inspiron. There it is. 8200. I'll never forget the model. Here. Oh my goodness. Show me. There it is. And this is the one, man. No, but this was him. I'll tell you why. Hold on. Because it had kind of the trackpad and this one over here. Yeah. Do you remember these? Those little mouse pads right in the middle of the keyboard? Those were amazing because you didn't have to take your hands off the keyboard. You just go like this.
That's crazy.
And oh my goodness, this thing cost me like $4,000.
No way.
Yeah, it was. I financed it. I was in university.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
$4,000 laptop.
Can you imagine?
That's insane.
But that's what they were. That's what they were.
Yeah, that is what they were. So yeah, I remember I used to play a lot of. Remember the pinball game? I think for all the veterans on there, like there wasn't very many games, but when the computers first came out, the pinball one, that was a classic one.
Pinball was amazing.
And then what's that card game as well too?
Solitaire?
Solitaire, man, Solitaire. Yeah.
And what was that other one? The minefield one.
Yeah. I never understood. I never understood it. To this day, people say, Joe,
Minesweep.
Minesweep.
Is that you, Ram? She made, yeah.
I never understood it, to be honest with you.
I never know if it's her or Fabian.
I was just a kid, never understood how that game really worked or anything. Were you good at Minesweep?
No, man, I just clicked the numbers, man, and it gave me 3, 2. I didn't know what the hell it was.
Like,
I didn't care to learn, quite frankly.
The bomb and stuff.
I didn't really want to learn, Joey, but that's kind of the way that is. Yeah. Here we go. We're showing 76 here. There's a 76 seller on BNAI. We can't shake the seller. Big seller at 76. A lot of volume coming into at that level. We can't shake the seller, though, so it looks like it will be an area top. 76.10, I saw this candle, the high of this candle, by the way. It's very, very spready, so you're going to have to account for that and give it a lot of room, okay, guys? Otherwise, this is probably not the one. for you. Continuing to watch that 76. Oh my God. It just blew off the top, 77.20. We've got 75.91 on this, but it could put me out of the money immediately. Trust me, I suffered through this yesterday. So let's go ahead and post that 79 as well. Let's see if we can get a nice run up on BNAI or what the situation is. Maybe we can make a move into 80 and make some money back on that ill-fated trade we had yesterday. Party P, that tracker ball mouse was goated. Absolutely. You didn't have to take your hands off the keyboard and you could move the mouse like that. Ram's making fun of it. She's like, you can cook eggs on that thing. Well, maybe I could, Ram, because that thing used to heat up to no end. But guess what? I didn't have to take my hands off the keyboard, and that was very important to me.
How loud was it?
What?
How loud? Yeah.
All the fail, it was like next level
crazy.
Aggression,
Yeah,
you know?
that's crazy.
And Intel, you know, they did their best work at that time. Those were the golden days of the Intel CPUs. I think I don't even remember what it was, man, the CPU in that model, but it was a good one.
Look at Starbucks go to the downside here, man. I mean, we're printing pretty nicely here.
Bro, it was a good report, man. But there was some you know, things to worry about in that report.
Absolutely. So, all right, brother, let's freaking go. Palantir starting to work out for them.
Carvana's moving, so
I
the
mean, CVNA, yeah. Let's take a look at CVNA and see what we got cooking up over there.
Eh? Oh no!
A little bit of volume blood. Yeah, it is bleeding right there. So we hit an artery on that one there, Sharif, on CVNA. Speaking of arteries, it's really starting to go on Starbucks. It's not too good of a look. There it is, over $3 on Starbucks. Bang, bang,
Get
bang.
it, Joey.
I don't know. No, you know what? No shot's going to be fired around here. I was going to say, Adara, all that percentage gain now gone, unfortunately, here. But that's, okay. All right, anyways, aside from that, a nice little move to the Starbucks. I'm telling you, 96 is going to be in the works. We're going to hit the stone cold for the first time today. There it is in Starbucks. Why are we going to go to this one here, man? You know this is my favorite angle on that one there. So make sure when we hit that.
This guy's undefeated. He's undefeated. Joey Opsh, man. Joey Opsh. All right. We've got a lot of beak wetters here on BNAI. I am kind of concerned. I've got, you know, I'm still scarred from the trade yesterday, and I shouldn't be, but I'm alive to how this one trades. Maybe that's the issue here. This one keeps price spiking up, but I don't want to paper hand this trade because we have an unbroken higher low, higher high trend. I'm talking about since we printed that doji candle at 11:05, on BNAI. Every subsequent candle has been higher lows and higher highs, with this current candle has a high of $78. It is bleeding down into 76. Yeah, I'm out. All right, well, we'll just get this one, and then I'll set up a little bit better, possibly at around 74 1/4. I'll be looking at that level there. All right, we're doing it live here on OKLL. We're looking for continuation through 5. What do we have on this one? We got 65. I'm seeing 98s. Let's go ahead and wet the beak here too on this monster, looking for a move into 25 1/4. Here comes 25 again. It's a 5-penny spread, which is quite manageable on this one, even though it's only done 3.18 million shares. But that $25 seller, Joey, he's a staunchy little bugger.
Dude,
but, go ahead.
Yeah. Look at this CVNA. Wow, I just put my eyes on that. This is hash money. This is VPA 101 right here, guys. Once again, I forget the name that we called this out on, but this is exactly what you want to see. Beautiful hammer candle on volume. When you have that volatility start to step in, and then you get the continuation on Carvana, that's a big-time move and a good look. It's unfortunate we didn't get to take advantage of it. Sorry to interrupt you, but that is beautiful right there.
Well, Neil just put it in the chat.
CVNA.
Gotham City Research said it's short Carvana. Let's see if we can find that. Here it is. Thank you very much for that, Neil. Go OKLL. Here's the report. Let me make this a little bit bigger so you guys can read along if you'd like. In a recently published report, Gotham City Research says Carvana's 2023-24 earnings are, quote, overstated by $1 billion plus and far more dependent on related parties than disclosed. According to the report, quote, drive times leverage fuels Carvana's adjusted EBITDA. Without drive time credit, Carvana's earnings collapse, and Carvana's adjusted EBITDA doesn't cover its nearest expense. CVNA's 2025 10K will be delayed. The 23-24 10Ks restated. Blast ABS restated, I don't know what that is. And Grant Thornton, which is an accounting firm, will resign as auditor. Oh, snap. They're resigning. CVNA and Drive Time's creditors' ability and willingness to fund this scheme will change once they realize that the ecosystem is more levered than publicly disclosed. Very interesting. But as always, guys, you need to view it through the lens of a short report. Most of the time, if not all, they do have some short interest in it. So, you know, keep that in mind. I'm not saying what they're saying is incorrect, but I'm just saying you have to view it through that lens. We're doing it freaking live right now on OKLL, Joey. There it goes through 25. We just wet the beak at 25.25. We're looking, 25.20. We're looking for continuation now into, I want to say, the $0.50. Let's see where this one goes. We took out the seller at 25. We're looking good here on OKLL, which is an OKLO, 2 times leverage derivative. And just before we go to Adara at the big desk, I want to mention, Joey, BATL is taking out tops and on its way possibly into that yesterday after a market high into 480. It just made a new high, a day of 436. BATL looking real good. Adara.
Before we get into crypto, a couple comments from Trump that are certainly of note. Trump saying that he doesn't think Jamie Dimon likes him too much these days. That is, of course, the CEO of JP Morgan, who he is suing. And then we also had Kevin Hassett, once again, Trump indicating he doesn't really want to let Kevin Hassett go and put him in that Fed chair position that he is widely reportedly being considered for. Trump saying that, quote, I don't want to lose him, about Kevin Hassett. Now, about Bitcoin. BTC here, pushing a little bit higher, trying to get back into that 90,000 area that we actually breached earlier today. But there was a bit of a move here in ebb and flow in Bitcoin, silver, and gold just after 10 a.m. more or less. Now, all of that movement and fluctuation happened as U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent spoke about the U.S. dollar, saying that contrary to some reports that were swirling as early as Friday afternoon, they're not going to be intervening here with the currency with regards to supporting the Japanese yen. So that pretty significant comment there did move around Bitcoin and silver and gold, in addition to a little bit of a spike there in the U.S. dollar. Let's take a look at Ethereum here heading into that FOMC meeting. Ethereum actually pretty flat today. Bitcoin certainly making more of a move, but Ethereum back above that 3,000 level. Let's see if Bitcoin can get back above 90K. Back to you.
You know what I'm really interested in? Remember how when President Trump got reelected, you know, Zuck and other tech leaders had sort of blacklisted President Trump after Jan 6th. You recall that, right? And then sort of after, you know, there were restrictions on speech on some of these social media platforms. Like I remember personally during COVID, you couldn't even send private messages between one another, not comments, private messages that use certain keywords. It would block it. That happened to me, so I know for a fact that happened, okay? So what ended up happening when President Trump came back, what did Zuck say? And a lot of these other tech leaders are like, oh, the Biden administration was pressuring us to remove stuff, and basically sang like a canary. Okay? What I want to see is during the discovery phase of this lawsuit now between JP Morgan and President Trump, whether he starts pointing, or people who testify at JPM, whether they start pointing the finger at somebody and say, oh, they forced us to debank you. I mean, they were coming to us and say, oh, you're gonna get investigated, this, that, and the other. We had no choice. I can't wait to see what happens there, because you know they're gonna wanna kind of push away liability away from themselves.
Of course.
They're gonna sing like a canary. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but I'm interested to see if it does happen.
Yeah, Jamie Dimon, you start pointing the finger at everyone. I mean, he's always been kind of
a Canadian thing.
He's yeah, is that a Canadian thing? Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Anyways, aside from that, yeah, I think with Jamie Dimon, it's interesting because, as we just mentioned, I have a feeling he will be the one who's like, yeah, no, it wasn't.
Yeah, well, Zuck did, and he's the leader of Meta, so, you know.
Yeah, chicken out, man, chicken out. All right, guys, aside from that, let's see what we got going on. Here's a Starbucks continuing to bleed here. That's been a nice trade for us. Now, is it time to get involved on the silver short? I don't think so just yet. I'm going to be a little bit more patient, but I do believe volume is going to start to kick into the downside. We're starting to see some buying pressure stepping in the overall market as well. So you can see on this 5-minute print, boom, you're starting to form that hammer candle, and maybe a secondary one as well too. But a nice move to the downside in SLV. Where's your out? If that high is breached, then just get out of Dodge. Eventually this downtrend is going to snap. Like this is ever since the pre-market, even a little bit earlier, Starbucks has just been steady down. So once you have a 5-minute candle open up on the backside of the trend, watch out. Opposite here for AT&T. nice steady channel to the top side. So 24.23 and continuing to climb a little bit higher. So not too bad of a look there in AT&T and Starbucks if you are short. Other than that, guys, yeah, well, I mean, I don't know about that top TLPO, but yeah, I obviously know the saying. We'll go through our scanner here. DoorDash, what have you been up to? Nothing crazy. NCLH, CCL, just looking for some relative strength or something that's slowly starting to curl over so we can get involved. I don't want to try to catch at any form of a bottom right now, nor do I want to eat my words. There goes Walmart. Yay! Yes, Walmart. My guy's putting in some good sessions. Man, I honestly, I don't know what it is, Street, but I think Walmart can climb up to like the 150s, even 180 here by the end of the year. I like Walmart a lot. Costco, has it started to recover? We know it's never good going against the administration, but look at this. Dude, this is insane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 consecutive green days off of those December lows. You get a nice little bit of a return there, 17%, but that downtrend is most definitely cracked there in Costco.
You know what I used to say to my buddy? So he was building out one of their warehouses, like not him, the company he worked for, in Brampton. And I was always trying to get insider information from, because not Costco, sorry, I meant Walmart. My bias was that Walmart would sort of set up a distribution center in the same way that we see Amazon doing, but they would use their stores as distribution centers rather than building new ones. And so they logistically could be like that. And so that I want to know kind of what they were building inside to see kind of, are they actually doing that? And they never were, bro. And I told you, I held Walmart for a while and never really manifested.
Third job ever at Walmart.
What is my stop on speed, on feed? I mean, sorry, shout out to iShow Speed. He was in Africa, by the way.
Yeah, I love Speed, man.
He's
in great shape. He's in great shape.
Fantastic shape, bro.
Yeah, I love it.
Fantastic.
He's in his prime too.
He's like, I love his character. Obviously, there's a big chasm between our age, but I just think he's got a very level head for his age.
That's just who he is, though. Like it's crazy. It's funny. I was thinking about the other day. This guy went from lighting fireworks off in his room to just traveling the world.
I know.
Just creating.
Hear about the story about his mom Dukes?
No.
You don't know about this?
No. I tried to take all.
She booted him, bro. She'd like, no, you're not going to be doing that streaming stuff.
Oh yeah, and his dad took him in essentially. He's like, I'm gonna do this. Oh yeah, but that's.
So what's my out, Joey? Look, I'm going to be basically looking at the candle that just closed. I'm talking about the 11:30 candle, the low of which is 213. We're going to get out there. So that one, it did close green. This current candle has a lower high but a higher low. If it doesn't set up in the way that I want, then I'm going to have to stop out for a loss and look for that $2 level as an area of support. So that's going to be my look right now on feed. We got 27s on. I got 22s. It's showing me 22s. I'm looking for this one to kind of hold generally that 10 EMA. It loses that prior bar low at 13. It loses me as a trader for now. So let's go ahead and put that in right now. And so we take out the subjectivity of the matter. How many shares do we have? Good, good, good. And then we're going to go ahead and put just that. So let's see what we kind of get on this bad boy. I'm still holding. Oh, I'm not holding anymore. I guess I got pushed out of the last remaining amount on OKLL. We're still quite positive on this one, though. Let's see if we can get back into OKLL over here, because it's still holding above the 10 EMA on the 5. Now, the money fills, to be fair, to OKLL have actually been at the 20 EMA. Sorry, I'm trying to bring in the side chart. It's giving me trouble over here. Have been not at the 20 EMA, in between the 10 and the 20. That's where the money fills have been. So currently, in between the 10 and the 20, kind of takes us to the mid to low 60s. We're showing 80s right now. If you get in the mid to low 60s, just put your stop below that $0.50, right? 24.50, which is basically overlapping with the 20 EMA on the 5. So OKLL, I think I'm going to throw in a possible dip trade in and around there. We're going to put for smaller shares. So let's go ahead, 24. I'm going to go 69. All right, Joey, we're going to be waiting in the 60s. We're going to be waiting at 69, okay? So that's kind of what we're doing there. DXYZ, it looks like it may be finding some support here after a 3-candle red pullback, finding support at $34, which happens to be the 10 EMA on the 5, prior bar high on DXYZ, 34.10, current price 34.05. You could give this one a couple of shekels above prior bar high so that you're not lured in, because it's also a 5-penny spread, so you have to account for that. I'm going to go ahead and wait in the high teens. I'm looking for a recovery trade here on DXYZ. Let's go ahead and say we're going to go 34, let's just say 18, and then we'll give it to about, you know, whatever, 24. We'll go for this many shares, and maybe we can get a nice little dip trade off the 10 EMA on DXYZ. Again, guys, rumors speculating that SpaceX we don't know, may IPO this year, and it is no longer the $1 trillion valuation we were talking about, I think, just a few short weeks ago. Again, you never really know, but now the number that's being floated around is $1.5 trillion for SpaceX. And if you know Elon Musk's ownership shares or percentage of SpaceX relative to Tesla, far more still, or he owns far more of SpaceX than he does of Tesla. So that'll have a way of boosting his net worth markedly. I also want to mention BNAI, bleeding its own blood. This is why I felt this way about this one. And as soon as I had a few dollar winner, I got the hell out of there because it did this to me yesterday. And, that's the way it is. That's the way these ones are. It is really, really losing in a hurry now. The candle at 11:30, the high of which is 78.15, we're showing 63.41 now. So this one really, really bleeding. Be careful with this. We're going to keep an eye on it. If it sets up above $70 where VWAP is, we'll get back in. Otherwise, no thanks. Joey.
All right, man, good stuff. Yeah, I don't know if it's tanking. It's starting to come in a little bit here, guys. I mean, I was swinging some from last Friday. I did trim it as I did head into 192s. So I got like 190, 150s, and 192s at one point this morning when I was cutting some in my account. Still sitting on half of that swing, but let's see what we got going on, man. I'm avoiding these chip names. We talked about this from a daily. There's so many other opportunities, especially leading into earnings season. I'm going to stick with that. There's going to be plenty of opportunity in the future to trade the IBITs, the NVDAs. Once again, I just don't think they're overly in play. What's Coinbase up to, speaking of the crypto world? Robinhood was trading higher this morning, but I think it's given up the majority of that move. So just going through the list, SMR, New Scale Power right here. Aklo Sharif's been involved with this one, OKLL. Nice little looks there. Bull flag being formed, and then the volume weighted average price starting to track the actual price action pretty good. Get a little bit of a pullback. So if buyers start to step back in, I think you can be sitting in a pretty good position. $84 on Netflix, and it's continuing to sell. Once again, I mentioned this before. Once this deal gets done with Warner Brothers, then I think it's going to lift a massive weight off of Netflix's shoulders, and then sure enough, you can start to see this stock start to climb a little bit higher, just like Google. We'll pull Google up right now as well. Pull it up and see what we got going on. I mean, absolute monster. That was the worst. Even though I did rotate into some Robinhood, this was the worst letting go ever. This is I should have never ever sold this stock, but oh well, it is what it is, and we'll continue to move on. What's Caterpillar been up to for the daily? Still hovering around those highs. Uber has been getting hit as of late as well too, looking like it's heading towards some support levels. Mateo. Mateo.
What happened?
Mateo has his.
What's his pick again?
He has Uber, another firm that I can't hear. Amrise. Amrise. I think Amrise is a construction company. They pour concrete. That's what Amrise, so they pour concrete for the data centers.
Sick joke for this one right
Let
now.
Me hear
I can't say it. I can't say it.
Oh, you can't say it.
We'll get canceled immediately.
Okay, we'll get canceled immediately. We don't want that. Procter & Gamble, RCL, XLF. What has the financials been up to? Yeah, we don't want to get canceled over there, Sharif.
Well, I'll get canceled. You'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine. All right. Yeah, we'll hold off on that right now. You can tell me off screen. The short on silver not really coming into play as the Nasdaq and the SPY take a little bit of a dive lower here, my friend.
Did you see your friend Sydney Sweeney?
Your friend.
Well,
let me ask you this.
Hold on a second, man. I got something to say, man.
All right, say it.
She opened up her own lingerie line.
I'm sure
Siren.
Siren.
Right down her alley.
Right.
Shocked, right?
You were shocked. Let me ask you. Let me ask you this. How many Sydney Sweeney shows or movies have you watched?
I'm trying to be honest about this.
I know.
I'm pretty sure it's zero.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's zero. All right, man. I mean,
does her Instagram account count?
No. You can't just, dude. You can't just be scrolling her IG all the time and stuff. You gotta take.
I'm not a movie guy, though.
I know
bro.
you're not
you
a
know
movie
that.
guy. You know what you have to watch though is White Lotus. White Lotus is a good show.
Assassino was actually telling me that she actually is a good actress in that.
Whoa! I wouldn't go as far.
All right, I'm just saying what was Sings.
She plays kind of like the same role throughout kind of a lot of her movies and stuff like that. Yeah. So and she's pretty good at it. We'll give it to her.
There you go. I love these comments coming in. Fantastic. You guys are still fantastic. All right. I got stopped out of feed. It lost that prior bar area, so we will give back a little bit on feed over here. Let's see what we can do at that $2 area. I like the $2 area. It's a zone though. You're gonna have to look at $2 down into 184, 185 because that's where VWAP is. So let's see what feed has to offer. We'll give back a little bit about on this one. Also, I got stopped out, but this one was, you know, just much smaller position with a tight stop on OKLL. It lost the 10, it lost the 20. So it looks like it might be down on the way to $24, excuse me. And we're gonna have to keep an eye on that one. But it is the battle show right now. We're gonna take off BNAI. And we're going to put BATL because this one is really moving. It's not on the NQ. NY, no, Amex. Okay, it's an Amex stock. So we will have to fly blind during halts. Here comes $5. It's actually been up to 5. 10.12 million shares of volume. So it's got a good amount of volume under its belt right now. Let's see what this one does with 5. Can it clear 5 easily? I'm only seeing a few hundred lots here. So, oh, there it goes through 5. Are we going to get a retracement though? 505 high. Continuing to watch here. BATL up 50%. Good momentum, but I don't know if this is the right area to get in. By the way, the 10 EMA on the 5 on BATL, right around that 4.5. So we're going to give this one a little bit more room. Let's see what it does around 5, and then we'll report back to you guys.
All right, guys, here's a medical device company to keep an eye on. Enview, medical ticker FEED, F-E-E-D. The company designs and markets a guided feeding tube platform to hospitals across the U.S. today. The majority of hospitals do this procedure blindly, leading to the unavoidable injuries from misplacements. Think of the platform as a GPS for feeding tube placement, which can improve patient safety and streamline how care teams work. What stands out to me is the growing appetite for this platform throughout U.S. hospitals and how their tech fits right into clinical needs. Today, they are already in 38 hospitals. As hospitals push for safer, more efficient solutions, Enview looks like a company building scalable technology with real-world demand behind it. Definitely one to watch. Yeah, there it is. A lot of people asking why the market is tanking. I think Donald Trump is still speaking here.
Probably.
So yeah, so that would probably have a little bit to do with it. Downtrend has been officially broken on Starbucks, so it might be time to get out of that one. We hit $3 ITM on that, so we're not going to complain whatsoever. Only sitting on a little bit left there, guys, 10% or so, and then we'll just hop all out. Once we head back, trailing stop at 99, and then we're going to get out of Dodge on that, brother.
Oh, he's Trump is praising Coinbase for Trump account donations. He's praising Nvidia as well. Gershner, shout out to Brad Gershner. If you know, you know. I'm just looking at some more over here. He declares Nicki Minaj as the what? Imagine this. Okay, no.
Nicki Minaj.
I think that's something different completely. I apologize there. Bessent shuts down report of potential U.S. currency intervention. All right, so nothing really, you know, too market moving. I don't know if that's anything to do with why the market's moving down, but if we have anything, we'll let you guys know. I'm continuing to watch here. BATL bleed its own blood, 505 high, losing it in a hurry into 4 2/3. Let's give this one the old college try. We're going to DCA into the $0.50. It's a zone. I want to say between 440 to 450. So what do we get there? We got 65s. All right. Let's go ahead and post up here, and we'll see if we can get a nice reversion trade on this one. Otherwise, we're going to look to average into that 440 to 450 zone. What do we got? We got 65, as I said, right? Okay, not bad. Also, feed seems to be holding up at around 210. I want to say the low of the prior bar is 206.5, current bar low 208, so it's got a higher low, but I'm not seeing any unbroken higher highs right now. There is none to speak of, and this is kind of what I mean over here. Look at this, guys. We've been trading more with these trend lines lately, and it's really been helping out. So I think I'm not going to touch feed until there's a decided break of that lower high trend line, and then we'll probably get involved with that one. But I'm going to need a closing print, not just a couple of wicks or so. So feed still in my purview over here, but we're going to focus right now on BATL. We're into that one. We're going to have to go to the big desk. There's news.
Visa spiking higher. V apparently creating a platform for cashback rewards in account. So basically, they can be using these cashback rewards to go towards the Trump accounts. President Trump just announcing this. Apparently, they indicated this earlier, the company themselves, but the stock is spiking on this. I want to mention as well, he just thanked Anthony Noto of SoFi and Vlad Tenev of Robinhood for their involvement in the Trump accounts. Neither stock moved at all. The Coinbase, Nvidia, etc. mentions were at least 5 minutes ago. Those stocks didn't move either. The only stocks I'm actually seeing move on being mentioned here are Visa, as I just mentioned, and that Dell mentioned a while ago where he told everybody to buy a Dell laptop. Back to you.
Punch, Joey?
But yeah, are you punching?
I've never bought Dell. I don't even think I've traded Dell. I don't have a beef with Dell, man. I just have a PC, and I don't need a laptop and a PC desktop. So, you know, I don't even have a laptop, by the way. I sold my my MacBook Mini because I'm using the iPad now, man. It's fantastic. It's because they updated it so that the iPad OS.
You could just hook a keyboard up to it.
But that's not the issue. It's like you can use iPad now as a window, so you can minimize windows, resize them. Remember how you could only have one window up at a time? On the iPad? Yeah, no, it's like you can use it as a laptop now.
Yeah,
so I was like, what the hell's the point?
An iPad in a long time.
You have a few super chats. All right, Assassino, let's do them. Throw them up.
Throw them up there, brother.
Throw them up. All right. Leandra. Oh, if I call her Leanne, she gets mad. Leandra. Thanks for teaching me. I've taken my paper account to, what? 1.2 million in 9 months. Can you look at Oxy? All right, absolutely, Leandra. Whew, that's some money there, girl. Hey. All right, let's take a quick look at Occidental for the OG Leandra. Don't call her Leanne. Watch out. All right, is this one still bleeding its own blood? Yeah, the downtrend is still very much intact on this thing. It's unbroken. Look at these connection of the highs, Joey. Unbroken from that's 2011. All right, let's go to daily. Quickly over here, just so that we can get a better look. So daily, Leandra, $40 support generally, unless you're looking at the tariff tantrum levels, which, you know, I look at those with different eyes, but $40 support. What's the resistance? Let me just take a quick look here. Is there a clear level? It's 55 for me, but there's obviously other area highs that you have to keep your eye out on, but look at that 55 base. We used to call that the Buffett base, right? Because it would never give up 55, but obviously it has. I'm not a big fan of Occidental, I just gotta tell you, ever since that 55 base gave up, but we're gonna pause for a second, and we gotta go to Adara. We'll talk more about Occidental when we get back.
Really quickly here, guys, just keep an eye on some of these uranium plays. Not moving right now, but they could potentially be on watch later. CNBC reporting that the Department of Energy, DOE, will be announcing an initiative aimed at building out the nation's nuclear fuel supply chain. That announcement set to happen today. So again, as you can see on your screen here, UUUU and CCJ are on watch. I'll just pull up CCJ here. Again, later today, the U.S. Department of Energy expected to announce an initiative aimed at building out the nation's nuclear fuel supply chain. Back to you.
Well, I guess I'm all out of Starbucks. I didn't know that I got all out there, guys. So my apologies for that one. Other than that, man, trade number one, trade number two, that's all we got really going on right now. So that's not too bad of a look whatsoever. We'll take it. We'll dock that one up and look for that next opportunity. I mean, the market is continuously selling here. Pre-market, someone needs to start documenting this data and sending it over to me. Rally in the pre-market, sell on the intraday. Sell in the pre-market, rally in the intraday. So we got to start recording this information and see what we got going on. Also, from Spot Gamma, that was fantastic this morning. I know a lot of people in the chat were loving that one. I'm curious if you guys went into that site and started to look at that options flow. Fantastic stuff. Aside from that, guys, here's what we still got going on. We're all out of Starbucks. I think 96 it can be in the works today. You get that break of the trend line, and now you're starting to head towards that earnings opening print, which is going to put you right around that $96 target. So keep an eye out on that. Let's head back over to, actually, never mind that. We're not going to head over to our scanner because we've been doing that. It's time to look at the top performing sectors of the day, Sharif, and see what we got going on in that front. So pulling things up, we're still big time positive on the week. In the overall market. The Q is almost up 4%. We have the SPY, this week, guys, 2.4%. The Dow now over 1%. The IWM, no rate cut, starting to get a little bit of a hit. But leading the way is the energy sector, up a little bit more than 0.8%. Technology sector sitting in that second place, 0.4 there. And then the financials holding on just a little bit under 0.1% to the green. Now, as for the bottom three, we're going to look at the consumer discretionary, not too good. What has Tesla been up to, guys?
What's it up to, Joey?
And Amazon down 0.4%. We got the staples down 0.45% and healthcare down 0.6%. So there's your top and bottom three. Now, as for the earnings, make sure you guys go and check out Trader TV Research. They're always doing a fantastic job on there. And also, what I'm going to start doing here today, if you guys don't catch my my options plays in the morning time, I'm going to post them on X. So go check your boy out on X at Trader TV Joseph. I'm going to post the upgrades and downgrades, and we're going to post the puts and the calls that we did in the morning. 8:20 sharp, Sharif, is when we get that options activity, and around 8:50 is when we pop in and we get those upgrades and downgrades as well too.
My man, my man. All right, guys, feed is breaking trend, breaking structure, I should say. It's breaking above the higher, the lower highs. Okay, let's give this one a try over here. Current bar low. Current bar low is where we're going to give it to 12s. Let's go ahead and throw that in the right now. And then what do we got on? Okay, we got 26s. So let's go ahead and post and see kind of what we can get on this bad boy over here. So that's what I'm keeping my eye on. Separately, I got back into BATL at 60, or OKLL, excuse me, 71s. Show me 72, so it's not exactly rocketing up, but we're gonna keep an eye on that one. But we're in DXYZ now. What did I get on DXYZ? I got 24s. Yeah, that's not what I gave it too much of a spread there, man. So let's go ahead and post. I'm posting up here into the high 40s. We need to post north of 50 as well. What the hell?
Froze, man.
The froze. I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah,
all right. So we're going to give your boy Joe, sorry, just before we go, feed is breaking out. Here we go. It just took out my order right there. We got to go to Adara. She's got breaking news.
Let's talk about MSOS, guys, pushing higher after a post from Matt Gaetz. That's right. He was formerly involved in the government. He also was at one point supposed to be the Attorney General of the U.S. Anyways, he's just posted that he's been told that the DEA is drafting this rule and moving it ASAP with regards to marijuana rescheduling. So again, marijuana rescheduling reportedly being drafted and moving ASAP from the DEA. Again, this is coming from Matt Gaetz. Back to you.
I don't even know. I'm sorry. I just got to concentrate. Feed is going to halt up. We've got, what do we got on feed here? Joey, we got 26s. It's going to halt at 73 to boom. Yeah. We're halted on feed, up 160%. I told y'all this was breaking structure. It broke through the trend line. It was the tell. Boom, into the high side. We're halted, 272. Halt time. All right, let's get our head back in order here. 11:55:48, the earliest this will be open is 12 o'clock and 48 seconds. The tap showing me 270, so we're a couple of shekels below right now the halt price. So let's keep an eye out on that.
I did that ad read earlier on feed, Sharif. It helped boost it a little bit.
Just take credit, Joey. Just take credit, Joey. Love this guy, bro. All right, how's OKLL doing, Joey? You want to find out?
Yeah.
Boom, into the high side. Here we go again on OKLL. Again, this is an OKLO derivative. How many shares do we have? Let's wet the beak. Let's see if this one wants to run up a little bit more. There it goes into 90, 93, 95, 97. Oh no, oh my goodness, oh no. We're doing it live. Let's set up at 33s now. Let's see if we can take out the high of the day. The high of the day, as I mentioned earlier, is 24. No continuation though. We've had a long struggle with $25, even though it's been above it multiple times. Get it, Joey? But it doesn't seem to be able to close above that level, so this is a bit of a problem. Let's keep an eye here on OKLL. I'm going to put my stop right at break even, which is 71. So we're going to put 24.69, and we're going to give it a little bit of room, lest this one stop me out. So that's the situation there. How we doing over here with DXYZ? Well, we're, what are we, 6 pennies in the money, but this is not why I'm in the trade, man. I'm looking for a 34 hold, generally 34.72 the high of the day. It's up 15 and a third. I'm looking for this one to kind of take out some levels into that $35 level, but we'll have to kind of pack the patience there. And then last but not least, BATL. This one I'm back into break-even territory. But it's, where am I? I'm break-even on, well, I'm 1 penny out of the money. But there it goes right back up into 69. So let's go ahead. How many shares do we have on BATL? We still have plenty. So let's go ahead and set up a little bit higher over here. I'm going to go ahead and wait north of 5. There it goes into the 70s. I'm going 5.15. Let's go with that. And then we're going to set up a stop into 57s because I don't want to have to manage this one if it's going to occupy my my attention. We don't need that. So throwing in the stop right there. Let's see what this one does. I'll give you an opportunity to set up again because I know you had that issue.
Dude, I don't know what's going on. Like I saved the layout Obi, man.
Blame Obi.
Yeah, I am because every time now I have to reorganize. I mean, look, you guys got the screen. Stop trolling me, Assassino.
You get him, Assassino. Get him.
This is crazy. Every time now, all week I have to been doing my layout all over and over again.
Sorry,
man.
brother.
It's not. I mean, I'm only playing around anyways. There's nothing to. Can't cry over spilt milk, my friend. And we got much bigger problems in the world here than me having to continuously do my layout over and over again. Other than that, I can't really do anything for you guys right now, Shreve. So if you don't mind just taking
absolutely,
it for me,
of course, Joey.
A couple more minutes.
So we're gonna wait over here. So we've got, let's see how much time left before feed opens up. Allow me just to take a quick look. 11:59:18 right now. We know that this one will be the earliest it will open is 12 o'clock and 48 seconds. So we've got another minute and change right now, but OKLL is bleeding its own blood. Did I get stopped out of that? Topping till candle, man, on OKLL. No, I've given it, wow, the spread really opened up there. Jeez Louise. Up into 83 it goes. I've got 71s on it, so we're going to pack the patience there, but it's DXYZ that is concerning me here because it's spready and it doesn't seem to have buyers able to kind of push this above the $0.25. 34.24 is where we keep topping out. And I'm not seeing any prints above that. I just want to let feed open up before we go to happening now and Neil's lesson of the day because it's only going to be another 30 seconds or so. So we'll just delay that for a second. Let's see where this one opens up. What do we got? 12.12. And the top is showing me 72s right now. So it's basically showing me the exact same price that we halted at. And that doesn't really work for me at the moment. OKLL is, I'm going to have to flatten out this one because it's dropping down. The spread is way too wide for me, so we'll flatten out that one so we can focus on feed. All right, we should have another few seconds or so. Let's see. Yeah, so we've got another 10 seconds to see what the opening print is going to be on feed. Again, the theoretical auction price is showing me 72s. We've got 26s on right now, so we have a lot of room. And there it goes into 88. Let's wet the beak there, and then we're going to let this one go. We still have shares. Let's see if we can get into 3. We're going to post at 303. So it'll, by definition, have to take out $3. 95, 97, 3 rejects. Can we move a little bit above 3? Can't. So this one looks like it's going to reject 3 for now. Let's give it another opportunity, possibly to work its way into that whole dollar level so we can spot the size that's waiting for us at the whole dollar. It doesn't look like it's going to happen here, guys. So we're gonna see how this one resolves when we do get back from Neil's lesson of the day and Adara's happening now.
Here's the market, just trading near lows of day for this S&P 500. Steady lower highs and lower lows as we await the FOMC decision. And in 2 hours, we're going to get that rate decision again. It is widely expected to be a hold, so no cut or raise of rates there. We're also at 2:30 p.m. Eastern expecting Fed Chair Jerome Powell to begin his press conference. That's usually the more interesting or market-moving event potentially because we're very much expecting what this rate move is actually going to be. So at this point, it's going to be more about what are the plans going forward for the Fed. Let's talk here about MSOS because MSOS moved probably about 5 minutes ago here. Matt Gaetz, again, at one point in the running to be the next Attorney General of the U.S. He just posted on X that he's hearing that the DEA is likely moving towards drafting for a rescheduling of cannabis. Then we have DELL, this name alongside Visa. They both moved during U.S. President Trump's remarks at that Trump account event. That event is now over, but Visa moving here as Trump announces that the company is now adding a new program to allow cashback rewards to be used towards the Trump accounts. Dell moving after Trump encouraged participants to buy a Dell computer because his son Barron is a fan. He mentioned a lot of other CEOs in attendance, including the CEOs of SoFi. Robinhood, he mentioned Coinbase, thanked NVIDIA, Intel, Broadcom. But the more market-moving names here were Dell and Visa. I also want to mention earnings. Of course, tonight after the bell, we have a triple whammy. Meta, Tesla, Microsoft. You also have IBM, ServiceNow, LVS, tons of names reporting after the bell. But let's talk about a name that reported before the bell that made some big moves. I know Joe was trading this one today. Starbucks, SBUX, nice gap up, but then giving a lot of that move back. That being said, year-over-year net revenue growth and same stores growth, both in North America and internationally. You can find this infographic on X at TTV Research, and I will be posting more Starbucks content throughout the day. But you don't have to wait at all for Neil's lesson. Neil, it's time for the lesson.
There's a certain song I like that I'm pretty sure you're going to know the lyrics to this one, Adara. A little something like, wake up, wake up, wake up. It's the first of the month. Get up, get up, get up. So grab your check and move on. Now, for a retail trader, that might not mean anything to you. But as a prop trader, it really does. And there's some lessons based on that that I think we can, as any kind of a trader, you should care about. But specifically for a prop trader, and why I'm framing the lesson of the day around this, is when you're a prop trader, it's very specific trading someone else's money. And it's pretty standard that everything settles at the end of the month. It's not like getting paid every couple of weeks. You know, you don't get a weekly check. It's not usually how it works in prop. You get paid at the end of the month. Your settlement is at the end of the month. And your goal as a trader oftentimes ends up being, I want to be green in the month. And you'll hear prop traders say this because it doesn't matter if you make money on the day. It doesn't matter if you make money on the week. None of that ish matters unless you have a green month. And so there was just a conversation I had in the chat. Someone's like, Neil, you should have held on to silver. Well, when I'm analyzing my month, because now there is a couple of days left in the month, and I'm going to be real with you. Am I having a green month? Answer, yes. If I look back, I'm a person that likes the quarters. If I look back at the prior quarter, the last 3 months of last month, is this month as good as any of those 3 last months? Answer, no. So yeah, it's a green month, but it is not as good as the prior 3 months that I've had. Throw on top of that, usually January is pretty good, and I would say it's been pretty mid just in terms of performance. I've had a lot more flat days than I usually do, which is good because at least bad days aren't losing days. But when that is the case, you will see me hunker down in terms of get toward that end of the month, and I'm green, and it's not a huge month, and it hasn't been as good for the day trading. And again, I'll speak for myself, and everyone can always speak for their own sort of idea. So for why in particular, when I have a good plan on silver, do I get out early? Well, it comes down to expectations and the pattern that I'm trying to follow. Because for the second day in a row on silver, you'll see I didn't say I'm buying at X price at all. Its pattern of waiting for mean reversion trend break on the 15-minute has worked, with the key over under today being 102.50. My note was literally the same thing yesterday, but the level was the over under the 99 to 100. It was underneath that and failing it, so we took one mean reversion short off the trend break around that level. That's it. One trade down to here. Didn't actually get the absolute low. I actually played it back into this prior support from the day before at 96.6. So that's what I was looking for. That's what we got. And I looked for the same thing today. It came in, did a reversal, started holding the 102.5. Anybody, go rewind the tape. See, my first execution on silver was at 102.5 when it held that trend break. And eventually made that move up. It gives a 103.5, scalp the VWAP first, and then out for that buck. Now, part of the reason why I'm shooting for less is look at the compression in the trade. It goes from crazy parabolic to inside smaller range to inside smaller range. So it's getting a little bit of depression of the move. I'm in bank profit mode. Like I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm not trying to get the bottom and get out the top. That's all well and good. I'm more concerned about getting paid. At the end of, I'm being real with you. And it is sort of an easy question as to, well, sometimes you want to hold, sometimes you don't. But I came into this not expecting as big of a move. And it's not just the fact that it was compressing in terms of its range each day. Throw in the fact that it's also a Fed day. So oftentimes in a Fed day, I kind of compress the trading from pre-Fed to post-Fed, where I'm going to get out a little bit quicker and take more of the scalp notion and bank some of that profit before we get to 2 o'clock, because I consider it almost 2 sessions on a Fed day. There's a lot going into it, and some of it does have to do with that end of the month. And just for everyone out there, if you're not trading someone else's capital, you're trading your own, I get it. Like, you're not sitting there getting paid out on your commission once a month and then worrying about that or looking at that as a bit of a target. What you can glean from that, however, is you have to have some semblance of, this is what I'm looking to get out of it. This is what I have been getting out of the market if you're successful, and is it performing right now? Is what I'm doing performing at its optimum? Because there are moments when you look at it and it's not, and you can do one of two things. Like, you can scale back. I'm the kind of person that I'll look at it and say, green month to start the year, but the prior quarter, every single month was better than this one. So it's backing off a bit. I'm already, when I see that happening, I'm already starting to tighten up risk a little bit. Take a few less trades. Notice how I haven't been getting in right away off the open on very many things. Much more patient. It seems a little bit subtle, but I'll tell you, that is exactly the kind of mentality that keeps me away from losing streaks, that keeps me away from negative months. I get ahead of it. And when you hear me say I look in terms of months and quarters, that's why it matters. Because I don't think you can do this for 20 years or a longer period of time if you don't have that kind of outlook. So when you go back and when you're looking at the success of your strategies or how you can build on them, how you can either leverage up or down or manage risk better, make sure you're looking at appropriate time frames as well. It's like your equity curve. If you notice, oh shoot, the things that I do right now are starting to not work as much, well then you've got to take some kind of an action. The last thing you want is to get yourself into a hole or not see when the market is switching up on you at all. So I get it. You could always hold for more. Yeah, could silver have gone even more? Sure, it could have. But I was one and done exactly for my setup 2 days in a row. I wasn't here the day before, the day that it was the absolute best. I can't do anything about that. But the other way you can look at it is, hey, I'm up more on silver in the one trade than anything that I lose on. That's another way that you have to think about it too. Make sure, in this particular case, if I had a loss today, like I got a red stock today, Starbucks is red. Like if Starbucks, let's put it this way, I trade Starbucks twice, right? So one was flat and the other one was a loss. Let me just pull that one up here, because there's another way I can look at this too. One long in here, flat trade because I got some out. One long in here, that's going to be a loss. Starbucks was also one of my ideas that I liked. And I traded that one to plan as well. Like I like Starbucks. The 100 level is an obvious dip zone. Oh, I forgot to write the 98, but anyone that watches knows I like pull back into prior high. So when it bounces off 98, I play that bounce. But I'm not going to lose more on Starbucks than I make on a good play that's to plan like silver. That's a mean reversion play, just like silver is. I can't lose more on that. 0 for 1 in a flat trade. I guess you call it 0 for 2 because the first one was flat. I can't go 0 for 2 on like one of my A setups and then lose more money than if one of them hits. That's just not how I'm trying to roll. But you have to look at it over a longer period of time. Like I don't freak out when this loses. I just ask myself, does that work over the last 3 months? Yes, but not quite as good as it was before. So either take a little bit less, have a little bit of a tighter stop, or maybe adjust your targets. I think that can help a lot of traders to have that longer term outlook. And for myself, at the end of the month, being a prop trader, it's a natural time to do that kind of digging, or at the start of the month, whatever works out for you. But even as a retail trader, you've got to be thinking along those lines. If you want to do anything for a longer period of time, if you want something to be a side income or your income, then you've got to treat it as such. You've got to treat it methodically. You got to show up to work every single day and put that effort in, which also includes being real with yourself. I'm going to try this. I haven't had the lunch yet. What I would say is it looks pretty good. The beef looks pretty good, but I'm going to make one note. This is like vegetables inside. There's a lot of cauliflower and broccoli. And then there's like another with the beef, there's even more broccoli. which unfortunately for me is like the one vegetable I'm not a huge fan of. I kind of like, cauliflower is like a meh, but broccoli is like a no for me. So, I don't know. At least there's a salad. Enjoy, everybody. We'll be back a little bit early because it is a Fed day today. We're expecting no rate change, but go get them on free. That stock, or feed, that stock is insane, Sharif. Unbelievable move on that one.
His name is Neil, and he oozes wisdom. Shout out to Neil. Thank you very much, Neil, for the lesson of the day. Yeah, here it is, guys. We have top wick right now. 2 pennies off top wick, to be quite honest. It's a 305 high. We got out at 303. It's setting up here at the 10 EMA. I got in for a 50 penny dip. I got in at 57s. As soon as it lost 50, I stopped out 49. We're looking for continuation now, but it is an unbroken lower high setup. Alas, it is finding support right at that 240 area. 240 just happens to be the 10 EMA on the 5. So that's an ugly, ugly topping tail candle that manifested there on the 5. This is what I'm talking about over here. So we're going to have to let this reset up. Now, how am I looking at doing that? Well, I need to start seeing higher lows and higher highs, right? We're not getting that higher high setup. You're going to have to clear 264, which is prior bar high. Now, this candle has about another minute and a half, 2 minutes left. So this one may not be breaching prior bar high, but I'm going to base my entry on this one at on this candle here at 12.05, which is $2.64. It's finding some support, but not exactly, you know, perfect at the moment. OKLL into the high of the day, I think about 2 or 3 pennies off the high, 25.24. The high, it's showing 20s now. So this one, very, very, you know, staunchy seller in and around 25. We'll have to see whether or not he's been removed out of the way. He wasn't earlier, even though, you know, we had decidedly cleared that $25 level by 24 pennies. Not immediately apparent whether this one's going to retrace again. It did stop me out because, you know, I was pontificating about the money fills being in between the 10 and the 20 moving averages, and it lost both, right? It got into 24.20, not an area that I would have earmarked for a level of support, but that's where it found support, and then it rocketed back up $1. And I didn't participate in it. So OKLL in focus for another entry. Likewise with BATL, this one is continuing to put the lower highs and the lower lows. Let's redraw that trend line. I want to widen it a little bit so that I can redraw it properly. Otherwise, it's just too angled. There we go. So I'm going to be looking for a break of this trend line here on BATL before I maneuver in the same way that I did with feed. You'll recall what we did here on feed. We waited for the, you know, basically the unbroken lower high trend to end, and then we got in right on this candle here at 1150, and then it rocketed up to 305. We're going to look to do the same thing on BATL if it sets up in that way. Now, this is an MX stock, so right away, it should be under suspicion. You know, I'm not going to go into all the reasons why, but one of the reasons is, of course, you'll have to fly blind during the halt. You won't know what the theoretical auction price is. You don't get that information on the MX, nor do you get it, by the way, on the NYSE. But most of the small cap gappers we're trading are on the Nasdaq, so it doesn't make it too much of a logistical problem. Keeping an eye on feed here as it works its way. Current candle, much higher low, and it feels like it might be on the precipice here of taking up that 64, 65 penny seller. We'll wait for this one now that we know it's able to make its way into 3 and above. We don't have to be first on this one. Last but not least, before we see what your boy Joey Opsh is doing, I'm still holding DXYZ here at the $0.25. It's showing me halves, but it's zigging, it's zagging. If it loses the candle, the low of the candle at 1130, the low of which is 33.86, I'm out. It's going to have to hold above that level. Otherwise, I want nothing to do with it. Very spready name and not that much volume, by the way. 2.17 million shares on a $34 name at a quarter afternoon. So that's not exactly a glowing endorsement for the volume traders on this one, but I do like the structure. We'll have to see if it holds up, Joe.
Good stuff there. All right, guys. Yeah, I mean, I like that you're pointing that out there, Stockhead. First and foremost, let's go over the super chat.
Oh, that's a great question.
What's the tickers for Canada's military defense? I want to help my neighbors.
I don't think we have too many publicly traded companies. I don't want to speak out of turn because I don't know.
We don't know, yeah.
But none that I come to mind. Do you?
No. No.
Sure, a quick chat. A search probably gives you a bunch of those names.
I don't know any of those.
Thank you for the super chat.
Yeah, thank you very much. We got another one there.
There it is.
Eddie the dealer. Okay. All right. I need $440 to recover my 10K loss on CVNA. Should I stay or should I close? Should I stay or should I go now? Let's figure that out for you. CVNA, I mean, it sounds like you're a gambling man there, Mr. Eddie the dealer. 440. Ooh, that you could maybe get up there today, but don't forget there was a short report brought out on this here today. Who brought us that there? I can pull it up for us right now, actually. CVNA, and then we'll go over it one more time. We know that Sharif did. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. CVNA, bang.
We'll find out some names here for you guys in a minute.
Bang. CVNA, you can do it and see what we got going on. Maintain Carvana. So here's some of the news, guys, on CVNA here today at 11:30. Spike down. Where does Carvana raise its target? Okay, Reuters raising the target there, short-term bearish event. Carvana, Wells Fargo raises target. Where did you get that information about the
you want me to pull it up?
report? Yeah, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. So CVNA, Joey, it's going to be in your blotter because we have the same blotter. Gotham City Research. Here it is, brother. Slumps. This is, let me get the good one, though, because one had an extended report on it. Not this one. Continuing to look. There we go. Street Insider's got one here. Here it is. You want me to send it to you? Or
well, I mean, you could just, it's poor buddy over there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So here it is. So we talked about this earlier, excuse me, but Carvana down now 8.6% after the short seller Gotham City Research published a critical report alleging accounting irregularities and undisclosed related party transactions. The report titled Carvana, Bridgecrest and the undisclosed transactions and debts claims that Carvana's 2023 and 24 earnings are overstated by more than $1 billion, and that the company is far more dependent on related parties than they disclose. Gotham City Research specifically highlighted the relationship between Carvana and Drive Time, a company also controlled by Ernie Garcia II. He's the father of Ernie Garcia, I guess the first now, which is the CEO of the company. We've been talking about this father-son duo for a while now. According to the short seller, Drive Time burned over $1 billion in cash flow from operating activities in 23 and 24 while taking on significant debt. The report alleges Drive Time's leverage sits at 20 to 40 times earnings. Ooh, far higher than historical levels, which is capped at 10.3 times before 2023. The report further claims that Carvana sells loans to third parties at inflated rates while booking gains on sales. Where have we seen that before? Mortgage-backed securities, a little bit. And that Bridgecrest, a company fully owned by Garcia II, charges these third parties very low servicing fees in exchange. Gotham City Research also pointed to what it calls accounting irregularities in sales commissions and servicing report figures. The short seller predicted that Carvana's 2025 10K will be delayed and its 23 and 24 10Ks will be restated, and that Grant Thornton, which serves as the auditor for Carvana, will resign. So we're going to have to wait and see whether all that is true, but those are the allegations being made by Gotham City Research, which is sort of a short seller kind of reporting agency, whatever. Go ahead, Joey.
All right, good. So, yeah, thank you for that there, Sharif. So I'm just going across the board once again, guys. We were all out of SLV, so we were fortunate enough to get in closer to the bottom. I still believe that we can bleed a little bit, but considering my positioning isn't that good, I'm not going to re-engage just yet. I'm looking at silver. A lot of people are saying pull up gold. There is like some topping tail signals right here. You can see it on the lower time frames as well, but you have this head and shoulder starting to be formed. You bounce off of the support levels on multiple occasions, right? So shoulder one, head, shoulder two, and then now you get somewhat of a rebound. So maybe we can continue on that trajectory. The Nasdaq's starting to find a little bit of a bottom here, recovering, guys. Not quite back to the volume weighted average price. I'm gonna wait for a slow curl over, and then maybe we can get a continuation of trend, and that's going to be to the downside. A lot of it's gonna have to do with NVDA and obviously the mega cap. We haven't looked at Tesla today, so let's pull that bad boy up. And Microsoft. You know who had a monster day yesterday? Amazon. Amazon putting in another big time session yesterday, giving a little bit of that back here today. But look at this daily, guys. A nice little bit of a move. This was yesterday, obviously 239 all the way up to 245, heading in towards some key zones. AWS is going to be absolutely massive. I can't wait to read about that report. I'm looking forward to it as well. But here is Amazon. We'll take a look at Tesla momentarily right now, and then also we'll go through the expected moves once again, right? Am I unplugged into you? We'll go over the expected move once again. So leading into tonight's report, there's a lot of names that we can go over, but here's Tesla on the daily, still hovering around some key support levels. You do get that break through the volume-weighted average price, but it looks like sellers engage aggressively once again. All right, guys.
All right, Joey. PDS Biotechnology trading on the Nasdaq under PDSB is transforming how the immune system targets and fights cancer with initial focus on HPV-16 positive head and neck cancer. HPV-16 can cause head and neck cancer, and more people are facing these high-risk cancers than ever before. HPV-16 positive head and neck cancers are projected to become the most common type of head and neck cancer in the USA in a few years. To learn more, visit them at pdsbiotech.com. Shout out to them. So I'm going to get to that in a second. I see the super chat. I did a search for you. And here is what some people are saying. Okay. I didn't actually get to finish the search. I do apologize. But Jim Carney. Is that on purpose? Jim Carney, let's find out exactly what is being spoken about here as I'm asking for the best for the top 5. So CAE on the TSX, the heavyweight of Canadian defense. While known for civil aviation simulator, CAE, I should say, is a global leader in the mission, rehearsal, and training for military force, including the Royal Canadian Air Force, RCAF, and the U.S. Navy. Let's take a look at the chart for CAE on the TSX, and then we'll get to the next one. I wouldn't mind having some Canadian exposure, to be quite honest with you. CAE.
Military exposure or?
Yeah, why not? Do you have any idea what we're going to be doing here? Is CAE it's on both, I think it's dual listed. Let me just double check if this is the same company. Allow me a second. So CAE Technology Company in civil aviation defense, yes. Okay, I think it is dual listed. And oh, surprise, surprise. Look at this. All-time highs or thereabouts. We did get into the highs there in the 21st, or sorry, that was November of 2021. We got to 34.24. Last time, 34.24. So we double topped right at the high. So we're right back into all-time highs. CAE is a ticker. So that's one. And then the other one called MDA, formerly McDonald, Detweiler and Associates. This is Canada's Detweiler. Wasn't there a guy in the Sound of Music called Detweiler?
No, but I know TJ Detweiler.
You know TJ Detweiler?
Yeah.
All right. I'm pretty sure there was somebody called Detweiler in the Sound of Music. Who knows? And Associates. This is Canada's premier space and satellite intelligence company. They are the minds behind Canada Arm. If you know, you know. That's on the space station. The trade, beyond exploration, MDA's dual-use powerhouse. They provide satellite-based radar and surveillance used for maritime domain awareness and battlefield intelligence. With the militarization of space, MDA is a strategic pick for geointelligence tailwinds. Let's take a look at MDA. This is on the TSX. So this one is not dual listed. That's the chart. Not a bad looker. Certainly, we're not at highs. That goes into 48.56. We did take out, I think, 41.08 is the high today. Clean hold into that 22, low 20 area. Look at that very, very clean base there. So that's another one. Then there's Kraken Robotics. This is on the TSX Venture, so not exactly, you know, a mature company, the profile. So a high growth mini prime based in Newfoundland. They specialize in synthetic aperture sonar and autonomous underwater vehicles, AUVs. The trade, this is a favorable for small cap traders, say more. Over 70% of their business is now defense related. Their subsea batteries and man portal sonar systems are seeing massive demand for sea mine detection and subsea infrastructure protection. Think Nord Stream security. Very interesting. Ticker PNG on the TSX Venture. Let's see if I actually have data access to that. And in to all-time highs. Surprise, frickin' surprise. Military spending is just going to boom, and that's just the way it is. All-time high from today or this week. Let me go to the daily. Yes, today, all-time high is $9.21. There's others, but I've given you 3. I don't want to spend too much more time on it. I hope that helps. And yeah, if you found that helpful, just enjoy. Joey.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I see what you're saying there, Adam James. I'm pretty sure Task Force 1 might be one of the of our special forces there. Good guys, and I'm pretty sure, I don't know if his record got beaten, but it was a Canadian who held the longest sniper shot for the longest time. Is what? Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Dude, yeah. I don't know if he got beat out by a Ukrainian guy. I think he might have. JTF2. Yeah, exactly. Joint Task Force 2. I mean, those guys are definitely. Dogs. All right, Canada mill stocks can go to zero if they are wiped out, says
What does
Deep
that
Limited.
mean? Wiped out, what does that mean?
I don't know what they are wiped out, if they're no longer in business, I guess, but I highly doubt that's going to necessarily be the case. Let's take a look at STX for a short. What is STX? Sure, STX.
What's it at, Joey?
Seagate Technology for a potential short all the way up here. You know what, man? I don't know if you want to counter trend this just yet. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. You want to go short against this, a nice strong day. And then look at this breakout. You're going to short this Seagate Technology STX for a short. Thank you for the $2 super chat. We'll hit the money on that one for you. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to be going against that. You want to make your life as easy as possible. Head over to some of these other tech names that are starting to sell a little bit. I went through a couple of them. Who was it that was kind of at the lower end of the range? I wish I could pull that back up for you. I'll have to remind myself what they are. I'll go through it once again. We'll run through our scan and just our watch list on what we got going on. This is from a daily. Look at this aggressive selling, inverted hammer candle right there on AAPL. So be cautious of what we got going on. We never got the bounce in Netflix in which we were looking for. And now you're starting to head a little bit lower in that name. NVDA. Same thing, indecision print right there. Broadcom, CRM, yeah, I mean Salesforce, damn. Anyways, that thing is going to continue. Cisco, oh, it was Oracle. I was looking at Oracle. Look at this, guys, right at the bottom of the range.
TikTok outage yesterday? They blamed it on Oracle.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Well, it was a power outage.
Power outage? No, I don't have that, so I wouldn't be a part of that.
That's what they say, says Fabian.
Yeah, that's what they say. That's what they say, says Fabian. Down 50% off of that previous high of $344. That thing has been absolutely getting destroyed, and it looks like it wants to head a little bit lower. So not too good of a look there in ORCL. What has, oh, I didn't even recognize this. Literally last week, AMD ran up into 266. I haven't even been paying attention to these chip names for quite some time. And for me, I told you guys this, I just don't feel like they're in play. And we're in earnings season, so there's going to be so many more opportunities. Like, I'm trading Starbucks. I could probably count on my hands how many times I've traded Starbucks throughout my trading career, and it's not that many. But anyways, Rich Tech Robotics, no continuation in yesterday's strength, putting in a little bit of an ugly intraday session. Man, that peppercorn beef is just filling up the room. I could smell it everywhere, man, and I'm getting a little bit hungry. But ION Q, yeah, Neil's got it going. Everybody seems to be the case. But as for the quantum name, Sharif, kind of just stuck in limbo right now, not doing too much either.
Yeah. All right, guys, we are close to getting stopped out of DXYZ. It's not doing it, man. If it loses, again, I mentioned the 11:30 candle on the 5, the low of which is 86. I'm out. It's showing 95s now on the bid, 34 on the ask. That's going to be my line in the sand. It loses that, I'm out, and I won't be DCAing into this. There's just not enough liquidity. It's not showing a good chart. So I say, yeah, the buyers are going to step in here. So that one will be an L for us if we do end up getting stopped out. But I want to mention, and there it is. Oh, wow. There was slippage on that one. That was not good. And I gave it some room there. But LUNR. Thank you. Who mentioned LUNR? I just want to, yes. Chris Cavanzo. Shout out to Chris Cavanzo. Great call out, Chris. Not only is it up 10 change on the day, but it's looking like it's going to hold structure here. It looks like there is an area of support at 22 1/3, which also happens to overlap coincidentally with the 10 EMA on the 5. So that's what I'm going to be looking for, this consolidation area here, which is a bull flag, which is the compression or the consolidation part of the bull flag, seems to have a 2190 low and about a 22 1/4, 22 1/3 area range. So I'm going to be looking at picking it up at the top end of the range. If we can get the third of $1, great. We'll maybe even get a quarter. And then if it loses at 2190, I'm out. But LUNR not looking all that bad. Does it have a headline? Let me have a quick look. Not like it matters all that much to me. Intuitive Machines, price target raised by KeyBank Capital from 20 to 26. Anything else? This is it. Analyst Michael Leshock maintains Intuitive Machines with an overweight rating and raises the price target. There you go, from 20 to 26. So not a bad look. And that implies obviously a nice premium, a $4 move from where we're currently trading at right now, up 10.25. So LUNR is definitely going to feature for me here. We're going to have to set up on this one. By the way, I'm seeing feed possibly on the precipice of breaking structure in the same way that it did last time. It's breaking the trend line. Right now, it hasn't cleared it decisively. I'm going to wait for a decisive clearance of the lower high trend line before we weasel into this one. But LUNR, let's load up that and take off BATL. LUNR, I think this one is on what, the Nasdaq? Yes, it is. 1 penny spread, not bad at all. About 8 million shares, a little bit less than 8 million shares traded on the day. We're showing 37s, okay? Let's go. Oh, wow, this one just moved in a hurry. Let's punch. Let's get some there. So what do we got? We got 42, not great, but that's still within my range. Just go ahead and pick up some at. I'm gonna pick up a little bit less at the third of a dollar. Let's put some there for a dip trade. And I'm also looking, I wanna say, in the teens. Let's go ahead and wait in the teens as well. Let's go all the way down. We're just going to wait at 19 and see if we can get something in a range. So we have 42. Probably behooves me to throw in some profit takers south of that $0.50, seeing as it can be an area of resistance. Joey.
All right, guys, as traders, whether you trade U.S. stocks, options, or futures, at some point, each of us have felt blindsided. Suddenly, a stock you're trading moves sharply and you're left guessing why, and it's not your fault. Often large funds have quietly built huge positions in the options market well before the name you're trading reacts. To gain an edge in today's market, Spot Gamma's daily flow patrol report reveals where big money is positioned so you can identify stocks building momentum ahead of major price moves. To get 2 free weeks of Spot Gamma's Flow Patrol, scan the QR code on the screen and go behind the curtain to see what the professionals see. Yeah, that was great, man. I know a lot of people in the chat enjoyed it as well, too. Brent coming on the show this morning. That was fantastic stuff.
I knew you'd like that. That's, that's your world.
A lot of people were intrigued by what he had to say. I was listening, obviously, to everything he had to say as well, too. So I loved that conversation. It was a great one, and I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back. But speaking of options, Sharif,
yes, sir.
Let's do this one more time here.
Okay.
We're heading into some big reports here after the bell. So let's take a look at some of the expected moves and see what we got going on, all right? So we're going to pull up our earnings. We're going to go see what we have. We already know the big three that we got today, and that is going to be Tesla, Meta, and Microsoft. There's a couple more we can go over. Lam Research, ServiceNow, Celestica, a lot going on here as well. But we'll go over the big boys. We're going to start it off with Softy, as some would like to call it. Microsoft, guys. And actually, let's do this as well. We're going to pull up our options chain and see what we got going on. I don't have any trades as the market is heading a little bit lower. And yes, guys, I will pull up Palantir momentarily. Actually, here it is. It's continuing to bleed. A nice little print right there, Gaurav.
Get it, Joey.
Do we get involved in, look at this, Gaurav, here. We're going to zoom in there, my brother. Do we get involved in an engulfing volume print about 15 minutes ago? So as long as we hold that 159 level, you might be able to find somewhat of a little bit of a bounce here in Palantir. Okay, I'm going to have to put this aside, and we're going to get involved with Palantir just a little bit to see if we can get this ball rocking and rolling, and maybe we're fortunate enough to get a bounce. Get this garbage out of here. It's in my way right now. So I'm going to start relatively small because it's going without me right now. I have no issues with adding a little bit on this Palantir long. So let's see if we get a bounce in PLTR. All right, now back to what I was referring to. I have this on my side. If it breaks low a day, we're out of dodge on Palantir. We'll give it a little bit of a room, but some aggressive. Whoa! Okay, see you later, Palantir. Just like that, instant out OTM on Palantir. We did get a bounce, but something might be going on with this because this bleeding is continuous. A little bit more. How much? Okay, I can't even see that. Oh, I need to see my position up there because I don't have my water up there. Can we get the e-signal? Oh, man, e-signal. All right, let's get out of this.
That's my world there.
Oh, I'm still short? Oh, okay, I'm still short Starbucks. I didn't know that. Okay, we'll take it. I mean, $3 ITM. Let's see if we can hold on to this Palantir a little bit more. We're down 40 cents right out of the gate on this thing. A little bit, 50 cents now, as there is no bottom to be in sight, trying to catch a falling knife here in Palantir. And that's why I'm kind of avoiding these tech names. But back to what I was getting at, guys. Microsoft, $501 high with a low of around 455, 4.9% expected move. Exactly what Brent was mentioning earlier as well, too, about 5% we're seeing in a lot of these big names. Moving on to the next one, that is going to be Meta. Let's go take a look at Meta's expected move here, guys, and see what we got going on. 6.5% with a high of around 712 and a low of around 628. And then we're going to head over to Tesla before we send it to Adara. We might have to get out of Dodge here on PLTR, but that's all right. We'll hold on to it for a little bit longer. 5.6% expected move, high of 457.46 and a low of around 408. All right, Adara, what do you have for us?
With regards to Palantir, I did look into this. There was apparently an analyst note yesterday from RBC. They reiterated underperform. They think the stock will, quote, drop like a rock. But there's no like brand new news that I can find to explain this weakness. I just wanted to address that. Back to you.
Stuff. Thank you very much for that, Adara. We'll go over a couple more before we send it back to my
Guys, I'm back in the feed. It's breaking structure.
Okay, he's back in.
Just wanted to mention that. You can go ahead.
You're back in there. All right, let's see if we can get freaking Palantir to break structure here. Lamb Research, guys, 7.3% expected move, $256.90 with a low of $221 there, 7.3% expected move. So I'll make this a full screen. And then ServiceNow, let's pull that one up before we send it back to Sharif. ServiceNow, what have you been up to, guys? I can post this on my X as well, too. I'm not going to try to pull it up because it's going to probably just crash my computer, but 7.4%, $140 to the top side and $120 to the downside in ServiceNow, guys.
All right, guys, we're in at 65 on feed, showing 80s, looking for continuation into 88s. High of the day is 305, but I'll submit to you, it's likely going to be a $3 battle. That when we get up there, it was initially we spent all but no time into that $3 area. I had a resting order there. Only reason I got printed on that order, I don't think it was really there for any reasonable amount of time, unless you're using hotkeys, of course. So looking for continuation here, but alive to the fact that this could be a bit of a bull trap, especially second time around. But packing the patience, we got 65. It loses 60, I'm out. It's that simple, okay? So we already wet the beak. Here comes it down into 65 again. Let's see if the buyers step in and around this level. Current bar low, by the way, is 50. So if you want to give it to current bar low, place your stop 50. Well, I wouldn't put it at 50. I put 48, 49, something like that, just to give it a bit room. There we go. We got stopped out in the last remaining amount, but that will be profitable because we did take out the majority of the position there. Let's see if it finds support at 50. It's an ugly topping tail candle that went into 80, now down into 58s. But it didn't lose, believe it or not, it didn't lose a 10 EMA, nor did it lose 50 pennies. So let's keep an eye out on this one. I could get back in here with a tighter stop, possibly into the high 40s, just watching to see if the buyers are going to step in, looking at that bid side of the level 2 for size to come on. Just so I know maybe there's somebody there that's going to backstop me with a big order. Not seeing anything immediately coming on at the moment, so packing the patience there. It's not a good looking candle that just closed, right? Well, it didn't close, but that just manifested right there. So not a good look. Now, we're doing it live. On Lunar, we got 42s. It's showing me 58s, looking for continuation, though, into 70s. So we took a couple of beak wetters there on Lunar, looking for that clearing of that 72 penny high. I've got my next order at 69, excuse me, so which will be below the current day high, which is 72. And then I'm going to put 77s. That will necessitate a breach of the day's highs. Back to feed, still zagging with that $0.50. This current 5-minute candle does have a higher low. Prior bar low, 250. Current bar low, 53. Okay, so let's keep an eye out on this one. I'm going in. Let's see if we can get the print. So right away, 248, 245. Let's see if we can hold up at this area. Into 59 we go. Posting in the mid-60s, into the mid-60s we go, posting into the mid-70s, looking for continuation, right? It loses 50, I'm out. We're gonna risk 6 pennies. So we got mid-60s, posted at mid-70s. Now we're gonna look for 90s print for an attempt into that $3 area. Seller at 65. That's the second time we've seen this selling coming in at 65. So be on the lookout for that. Can't shake the seller. Moving up into 63. Now there's a seller at 63. We often see this as the algorithm moves its order down to push the price action down. That's not what you want to see. The question is there going to be an algorithm or a buyer on the bid side that pushes that right back up? Now they're selling at 61. Look at that. So continuing to watch over here. Let's see if this is going to hold. We've got prior bar low, as I mentioned, at 50. So a loss of 50 ends the trade for me and also breaks structure. Continuing to watch here on this bad boy. As I see it, though, there goes Lunar into, well, 65. Not quite 69, though. That's where we're waiting right now. There's 66. Looking for 69 on LUNR, looking for continuation into possibly a high of daybreak. 66, 67 just flashed there momentarily. It's a 1 penny spread too on LUNR, which is not a bad look. Nope, doesn't look like it's going to manifest all that quickly. Back to feed as we've got 56s on feed, showing me 62s. No continuation though into the mid 70s on this bad boy. So up 148%, not breaking structure, mind you. It is holding the 10 EMA. It's holding higher lows, despite the fact that it put in a bamboozling candle at 1235. That's a no good, but we're going to keep an eye out on that one. Into 67, we go on Lunar. 68's possibly coming here. We just need a 69 print. We're going to pause for a second. We got to go to the big desk.
Reports here that Blackstone is considering committing debt to Oracle project in Michigan. Oracle moving up here again. Blackstone reportedly considering committing debt to Oracle's Michigan project. Back to you, ORCL.
Thank you very much. All right, Joey, what are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm way out of Palantir. It's coming off all charts. I shouldn't be trying to long this thing. There's so many things correlating, right? Like I shouldn't have hopped in. I seen that signal, but I didn't do my analysis across multiple time frames, which we should have done. So we'll do it quickly right now. If it bounces, then so be it. I'm all out of it, and I'm going to avoid some of these tech names. Palantir, 5-minute daily. This was another one, right? Like you're cracking through support. You may get somewhat of a sustained bounce. I'm out. I'm right out at the lows. If it decides to break a little bit higher, then so be it. I'm going to try to find where there's relative strength, whether it be shorting some silver or something else along those lines, and just go with the flow. And I'm going against counter trend right now in Palantir, so I have no issues with just avoiding that. But you can see on this, we're starting to see head into a supply zone, multiple double tops. Not multiple, but we have multiple touches of in the same area, and then now we're starting to crack through some key support levels. So I'm all out of Palantir. We give back a bit of our day here, but that's nothing to worry about. We're still short Starbucks from $100.43, so that's not too bad whatsoever. And let's see if we can crack down to $96. Also, guys, it's almost going to be like a 2-in-1 session, right? I think you have to take that into consideration. We have the FOMC. Is it? Oh, we're back. Oh, we're back here. All right, good stuff. I like that one there, Assassino. No, in all seriousness, you have the volatility that's going to step into the market at 2 o'clock, right? And then you have JP's speech at 2:30. So, and then also for all the individuals who are trading blue or even in the pre or post market, there's going to be a lot going on as well too. So I'm going to be keeping my eye on the big boys if there's any opportunities to be had in the post market. All right, and obviously there is going to be, but a lot of these big names typically stay within their expected move. If there's some form of surprise stepping into the market, whether it be with Tesla, Meta, or Microsoft, I think there's going to be some solid opportunities. There's also some smaller names as well too that we went over: Lam Research, ServiceNow, IBM, and Celestica. Oh, Sands, Las Vegas Sands as well too, Shreve, just in case you were curious about that one reporting. I know a lot of people were. I hope you can hear the sarcasm in my voice. There's nothing wrong with that. Oh, bro, did you hear in Vegas?
It's dead, Joey.
Dude.
People are, but dude, I went in 21.
Yeah.
And I got rinsed for everything I spent money on. Hotel, food. Dude, it was me, my brother-in-law, and my nephew, okay? We drove over from Orange County.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. We stayed at, where the hell did we stay, bro? The what's it called?
The Hollywood.
Planet Hollywood, okay?
Hollywood,
not a great hotel,
yeah.
but not bad. Dude, we went to have breakfast at the MGM, the open buffet. Between the three of us, why was it $250?
Yeah.
$250 for breakfast. It never used to be like that. You could go and you could get amazing deals off strip, even on strip.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Did you hear that some hotels and casinos are going $1 for $1, Canadian dollar?
I heard about that. They're trying to lure the Canadians back in, which is a fantastic ARB. That's like a third.
You know what I mean? It's like, hey, if you can do that, man, I would go straight to the casino. Every Canadian dollar that I have right now going straight into the US dollar, and then I'm coming back here. Bang, 30%.
No, I didn't have a good time. I got to tell you the truth. Well, that was the only time I didn't have a good time in Vegas.
When you were getting rinsed.
In 21, yeah. And I've been there 3 times before. I've been there 4 times. And every single time I've had fun.
The same thing is happening in Tulum, right? They're just pricing people out.
I mean,
so it's the same narrative. So
occupancy
is down like 40%. right? They're trying to, because during COVID, you had all these people who had their, whatever you want to call it, midlife crisis, and they're heading over to this place, and they're like, hey, yeah, this is we love Tulum, we love Tulum, and then sure enough, what happens? It just drives prices of everything up.
Exactly.
And then sure enough, they're like, oh, hey, we're making a rinse job out of these people. Let's continue, and then it's not sustainable.
Just do it.
Dude, the taxis there would make you sick.
In Tulum?
Yeah, the
Really?
cost of taxis is absolutely sickening. So say from here to
I got a story for you
the
too.
Eaton Center,
Okay.
$70.
Okay, I don't.
More.
That's ridiculous.
$70.
All right, I have a similar story. You know how I got searched at the Aruba airport Joey, and that's the way it was. But actually the transportation bus that takes you to and from the airport and the hotel,
resort,
and so it's included typically, right?
Yeah.
So left without me because I was sitting there going through secondary inspection. So I go out there. I'm trying to get a cab to go to the airport or to the hotel.
Yeah.
$110 US for like, I think it was maybe 20 kilometers, something like that. So I'm like, absolutely not. I sit there and I talk to a couple of people. Yeah, I know, it was insane. I sit there and I talk to a couple of people around. I found another tour bus. So I was with Sunwing.
Yeah.
There was Air Transat Vacations. Went on their bus for free.
I like Air Transat. Shout out Air Transat. Short Sunwing.
Short Sunwing, my man.
Yeah, other than that, no, same thing, man. Like I didn't plan our transportation on the way home from Tulum. I don't know why I didn't do it, but yeah, $250, just like that. American
Just like that.
Is a genius. Love it. I am booking Vegas now.
No, don't do it, man.
No,
it's just not worth it.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, man. People are just, but you price people out and you hurt your business, right?
No, man,
you're not competitive.
And there's not even that people going. No, people are saying as low, like the occupancy levels are like COVID level lows right now. That's what everybody's saying.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, listen, the infrastructure and the buildings in the city of Tulum, fantastic. Love it. The beach, the Tulum beach is amazing.
Cancun Beach, Playa, they're all amazing.
It's just really, really expensive. But if you go to the main strip, everything is half price if you go into the actual town in itself.
That's the smart part.
Yeah,
exactly. That's the smart part.
Exactly.
With Vegas, you don't have an opportunity to do, well, you can go off strip, but it's still a bit of an issue.
You get a lot of people, where in Vegas?
In Vegas,
Oh,
yeah,
in
you can go off
Vegas?
strip, but it never used to be that way. You could go on strip and get like a steak dinner for like $20. Anyway, man. All right, ready. Global X Canada. Savvy Canadian traders looking to boost their exposure can now tap into the Nasdaq 100 and S&P 500 with Beta Pro 3X daily leveraged ETFs. And they feature, guys, built-in FX hedging. This aims to amplify your shorter-term market moves and minimizes the impact of those pesky currency swings. Whether you're feeling bullish or bearish, these ETFs are built for active day traders ready to take on the market. You need, though, to read the full risk disclosure in the prospectus at betapro.ca before investing. Shout out to them. I got a couple of things to mention here just before we go on. We're doing it freaking live on feed, right into the high again. We got top wick again on this one into 92. The high of this bar, 94. We're looking for a $3 break though, so we're gonna keep a good eye here on feed. And there goes Lunar. We have 55s. I just wet the beak there at 77s. High of the day is 80 now. LUNR looks like it might be on its way to 23. Let's pack the patience over here and see what this one has to offer us. Back into 80 we go. Good look. So this is the high of the day as we speak now on LUNR, up 12 1/3%. No size posted on the gateway. At 80 there, it goes into 83. There's a new high of day. I'm waiting at 88. And then we're going to wait possibly nearer to that whole dollar at 23. Watching. 85s now showing up. 87. Can we get 88s? Bro, come on. All right, we're going to take it here. Boom. All right, now let's move up the profit taker. 23.05. We took 87s instead of 88s just to kind of put that one behind us. And now we're looking for a little bit more. Keep your eye on LUNR. Great structure hold. Obi would really like this one. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I know that's kind of his jam. I shorted it by accident over here on my sim, so let's go ahead and cancel that, Joey. We don't want to be short. So LUNR. This is what I mean by holding structure. Look at the consolidation area high. You needn't be a chartered market technician to see this. At 2230 to 2240, area high on that initial bull flag consolidation. Look what happens when we clear. We go up to 22.72. We drop back down 22.35 area hold, rockets up into another high of the day, 22.92. LUNR is holding structure quite well. Let's see if it makes its way into that whole dollar level. Packing the patience. I'm seeing supers come in over here, so give me an opportunity just to see it. My man Bovin's back in the chat. All right, we're going to get to Bovin's message, and a thank you for that, Assassino. Just P87. How do you feel about SMR breaking out past high of the day, looking at 2045 target? Say less. Take a quick look on SMR. All right. This is the daily. I already don't like the daily, but I do like how it's holding area support. Look at that, 15. Look, even during the tariff tantrum, bounced right back above 15, area hold, and then take a gander at this from July of 2024, 15 area resistance. You gotta love when that holds up. Now, what I'm seeing possibly here on SMR is an inverse head and shoulders, and you do have the preceding price action is conducive to this being an inverse head and shoulders. Let me make my case to you. What is a head and shoulders pattern? We know this from the old lessons. It is a reversal pattern. So what the hell is it reversing? There has to be a trend for it to reverse. Case in point, 57.50 all-time highs. Oh boy, do we have a downtrend. Lost 75% of its value since October. I'm talking about SMR. But take a look at this. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. You need to wait for confirmation though. I would say above that neckline, which is between, I want to say 22.50 to 23.50, about a dollar range. I like your target of 20.45. You're obviously talking intraday. I like the daily chart for an inverse head and shoulders. I just want to mention that. And then now let's look now at what you're talking about there intraday. Yeah, you're going to likely have some resistance at 20 just because it's the whole dollar level. But 20.45, why are you earmarking 20.45? Let me take a quick look over here. An area base from the 22nd and 23rd of January, not a bad look at all. 24.45 puts you a couple of shekels south of that $half base. I like it, but I also like the what I perceive to be a possible inverse head and shoulders pattern on this. That's a monthly, daily on SMR. I might actually punch into this.
Bitcoin's moving pretty good here. Yeah, so is Ethereum, guys. Are getting a little bit of a bounce here. Now, I wanted to actually talk about this a little bit heading into the FOMC. I mean, we had a couple of rate cuts in the previous two, and I was personally expecting a little bit more of a bounce in Bitcoin, but that wasn't the case whatsoever. We sold aggressively off of the other one, the two decisions ago, and then the other one we didn't really do too much, but now we're climbing up to 51.29, so Bitcoin really starting to climb higher, guys, and you can see it on ETHA as well. Nice indecision prints, and that's what I was going off. We're saying look at Palantir. Yeah, sure enough, it's climbing. Like, again, like we're in there. Did I give it enough room? I don't know, maybe so, but I'm just not in love with some of these tech names right now, so I'm avoiding them. I want to get involved with some silver and see if we can get that to continue to climb. The Nasdaq is finding somewhat of a bottom, and you're bouncing off of it, so we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, some big time moves, fugaziness in this stuff here. It's like, why aren't we climbing? I hold it. I do get bottom wicked out right around 158.50s, and then it decides to bounce. I don't have time for that right now. So again, I'm going to find something that trades much cleaner, and to me, that's silver. Something that's else is in play, and the overall market is going to be in play as well too. So keep that in mind, guys. We'll see what we got going on. Thank you, Yannick, for pointing that out. Johnny D, that's nice. Please keep it PG in the chat.
No, he needs to chill, this guy.
Who, Johnny D?
Yeah. Let me make sure I'm talking about the right guy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's frustrated. He's probably, someone's having a bad day. Listen, I know, I get it. Some days people have a bad day, and you're just really frustrated.
Saying random stuff.
He is saying some random stuff, but at the end of the day, man, if you want to just smash some buttons, go somewhere else, open up a blank page on Word or something, and then just hit that, but not in
Joey Solutions, my boy. It's Joey Solutions. I love this guy, bro. No,
been so
man.
pissed off,
I
you
throw
just open up a blank
throw
page.
stuff around, bro. We talked about
yeah. You know,
throwing of the slippers when you're out of the money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that used to be my
great
coping
times.
mechanism. I would just be so pissed, open up a blank page on Word, and then just
You go hard, huh?
just go nuts,
hard.
right? Yeah. But
Does anybody else take out their anger on ChatGPT already? I know Fabian does. I know for a fact Fabian does. You do too? Oh boy, I'm not the only psycho. Sia said it's
you
fun.
guys gotta watch out, man.
Rage-based ChatGPT.
Well, my concern, Sia, is when the robots rise up, they're going to know about the conversation.
That's why I try to be nice. I try to be nice to everyone and
I feel
everything,
like
right?
it's
It's 'cause you never know.
You're like that, though.
Yeah.
You're smart like that.
So
We got another 5 minutes or so, guys. Sia's in the house. We're going to be starting the news. There is plenty to talk about today. The morning note, I think, is 17 or 18 pages long, and it doesn't even include Starbucks because Starbucks earnings weren't out by the time it was published. So there's a whole bunch to talk about. We're going to dive in. We're going to do a deep dive on all of them. It's going to be myself, Joey, Sia, Adara. We're going to give you all our takes. So make sure you're hanging out with us between 1 and 2. That's when we always do the news segment. I'm still watching Lunar, guys. Into the high of the day goes. It is a 22.96 high. Your boys got 69s. How come? Because I added into the position. Initially, we got in at 40s or 39 or whatever. We added into the position at 69. And now we're looking for that $23 break. We're a couple of shekels below that $23 area, 22.96 high, as I mentioned. But I also want to mention feed, even though it did have an annoying topping tail candle that printed at 1245, the high of which is 294. It dropped back down, but it's holding structure on the 5 minute chart. Let me make my case to you guys. Look at this. Clean area hold here into 260, which just happens to be that 10 EMA on the 5. It also was that pesky resistance level that we had basically from 1205 until the decided break above that level. I want to say at 1240. So let's see what feed has to offer. It's been dilly-dallying south of 3. This one is also holding structure. My case on this is, look at that $2 level area hold that was an area resistance in the pre-market. It breaks through that. Then we have that 250 area resistance at around 11 o'clock. Look how clean that holds, and now moving up for a possible break of 3. So I'm on the lookout here, pardon me, for another entry into feed, but I don't want to be super quick with it. I'm going to pack the patience over here, Joey. I'm going to send it to you as we set up for the new segment.
yeah, man, sounds good to me. All right, guys, let's see what we got going on here. I mean, there's a couple of opportunities. I want to stick to the guns, and I want to find an opportunity here in silver. But don't forget, I mentioned that we're going to have a secondary session here coming in momentarily, approximately an hour, a little bit earlier. We'll send it over to the desk up to the right to us. So that's what I am going to be looking for. Anyways, aside from that, that's what I'm going to be patient. I mean, we had the Starbucks short. We're still short some Starbucks right now. I only have 10% remaining. If we do happen to break this 97.50 level, then sure enough, we can look for a potential long. There was a nice indecision print on NVDA right at the volume weighted average price, but I don't want to get involved with these tech names right now. I told you, I don't like them, man. And I'm going to stick to my guns on that, like Boo, like Palantir. Stock, man. If it worked, then we would be significantly happier. But it started to come a little bit right back in. So a high of around 159.70, and then you get somewhat of a pullback. Today's show is a banger. Thanks to all at Trader TV Live. Says the Perception Engine. All right, thank you very much for that. The Perception Engine. Oh, we always try to keep everything spicy. It's a spicy meatball around here. Ronik, brother, you asked me like 5 times the same question. We trade on a prop, and I replied to you every time, every single time. So yeah, other than that, don't forget, we have our own accounts as well, too. So we don't trade them here, obviously, on the show. We're trading the prop. So this short here on Starbucks is the prop firm. Obviously, it's all right, man. Don't worry about it. This is the prop firm right here. And then also our little bit of a loss on Palantir was on the prop. So as long as you see the PA platform, what else we use for charting is our own separate thing. Sharif and I have the exact same thing. The new dome is like, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that truly. So let's see what else we got going on in the chat. Angel, Ray, Fred, Petroleum, Joseph, EIA weekly report coming out tomorrow after the day. Tomorrow kind of storm in the U.S. Ronan Could. Does anyone challenge like real trading one that you use? Does it need any challenge like real trading one that you use? I'm not too sure what you're asking there, to be honest with you. Like real trading? Oh, are you talking about the campus program? No, like Sharif and I and everyone here on the floor isn't. All right, I'm gonna pretty panda. I'm gonna read this. All right, I'm gonna read this. Thank you for the membership. Also, by the way, member for 28 months. Dang. All right, we'll take that, guys. My house is done. It almost wrecked me, but I'm back now. Missed you, lads. Joe's head/hair looks great. All right, well, thank you very much. Sharif, I still see you're cooking. Much love. No, much love to you, Pretty Panda, and thank you for coming back. Much appreciated. Joseph, no, there is any challenge or just a subscription you pay to get access to capital? No. So what you can do is you can actually open up. No, you need your own capital other than that, but the campus program, I don't know if it's still open or anything along those lines. We'd have to figure that out. But you would have to pass a law. You'd have to go through the simulator. Then you'd have to pass multiple stages in that to get into live trading via the campus program. But I'm not too sure if that is still available. We can get some more information for you on that there. But yeah, that is not what Sharif and I are a part of. Now, as for NVDA starting to come back in south of the volume weighted average price, you're getting the pullback in silver as well too. So maybe we participate to the downside. Why? Because we're starting to form some lower highs here, guys. Boom. Lower high right here, lower high. So that's two lower highs, downtrend still fully intact. It is tough to short. Don't forget about that. But if the momentum really starts to pick up, and if you want to talk about following the volume profile, if you ask me, the strength and the more individuals engaged right now are the sellers. So keep an eye out on Starbucks. Don't forget, you have less than an hour until FOMC. So you're going to have a session within a session, guys. Thanks, Pretty Penny. Much appreciated. I like it.
100%. So here it is, guys. If you're interested in the campus program, there it is. It's realtrading.com/trading-courses. Okay? So you can just put Real Trading Campus in Google, and this will pop up. There you go. Sign up today. You go through the whole process there. There's a whole bunch. There is the overview, learn to trade, live trading. There's resources, obviously Trader TV associated with it. So if you're interested in joining this, there you go. That's the website. Super simple. Again, realtrading.com/trading-programs. So I just want to mention that. Thank you for mentioning that, Joey Options. All right. It is 1:03. I think we are ready. See ya, thumbs up, to start the news.
Okay, we're gonna dive right into it. As we know it, the Fed is on hold as like certain politics are swirling around Jerome Powell. As we know it, markets are seeing virtually a zero chance of a rate change as this week's Federal Reserve meeting with policymakers is expected to hold steady on certain rates. Attention is also going to shift to Chair Jerome Powell's press conference and futures pricing via the CME. As you can see on my screen, CME's group FedWatch is suggesting 1 or 2 cuts in 2026, most likely in the mid-year to the late year. But the key question here is this pause hawkish or dovish? And President Donald Trump, as we know it, said he may announce Powell's successor really soon. All of us know U.S. President Donald Trump does not agree and does not see eye to eye with the Fed chair. And there have been things time and again to prove that he has not just opposed statements from Fed Chair Powell, but he's also directly said in a lot of conferences that he does not agree with what's going on and he wants the successor to be appointed really soon. So I think this is all, I personally think it's all a strategic move by the U.S. president. What do you have to say?
Well, yeah. I mean, he gave him a nickname for a reason. Too late, right? He doesn't like the wait-and-see approach that Powell and the committee, and for most members of the committee, have been kind of employing, the data-dependent approach. He feels that he's, behind the curve, and it takes him too long to respond to the current state, whether President Trump is right or whether Jerome Powell or Chair Powell is right. History will tell. But here's what I'm kind of keeping an eye on. Today, there's obviously going to be a prepared speech, which is released right at 2 o'clock. Then Chair Powell goes ahead on the podium, reads that speech, and then after, we all know what the drill is. He takes questions from reporters, and that's sort of the wild card, right? That's not prepared, and he makes off-the-cuff remarks. I'm expecting, personally, for there to be a plethora of questions about the recent Department of Justice subpoena, which is tied to the Washington headquarters for the Fed. It's added pressure, and Powell, in his own words, called it a pretext to influence policy. So number one, I want to see, does he respond to questions about that? You know, defend himself, defend the Fed, defend the spending, or does he really just kind of keep it on brand, on message? Here's what we're doing. We have two mandates: full employment and price stability. Thank you, Joe. So I personally expect it to be the latter as opposed to the former, but we're going to wait and see. Secondly, I'm sure he's not going to answer this now, but there are, rumors that Chair Powell could stay on as a member of the committee even after he's been removed as Fed chair in May. Because I think his membership on the committee, the expiration of which is like a year and a half down the road. So I'd like to hear, whether he gets pressed on that by reporters and how he answers that. But other than that, Joey, I don't think we're really expecting any cuts anytime soon. And even if we do get cuts, we kind of have a general understanding that it'll likely be June onwards.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, right? Because you're getting close to that Fed target of 2% inflation. The labor market still seems relatively strong at this point. My issue only here is, and I like that you mentioned this, Sharif, is that Jerome Powell is data dependent. Now, to add to Donald Trump's point, if he was data dependent, why didn't he increase rates faster back in 2020 something, right? If you're that data dependent, then why
Great question.
Right? Like, so why didn't you increase rates? I wonder why, what the reason was, right? Different administration at the time. But I think a big issue here is the data dependency opposed to being strategic. And I think that's where a lot of people fall out with Jerome Powell here. And I think that's where I stand. Hawkish or dovish for this cut? It's a tricky one in my opinion.
Yeah, and to build on your question, we never really know what was in his mind or what was in the committee's mind more than what they put in the notes, et cetera. But a lot of people were saying that he waited to increase rates because he wanted to get that reappointment from former President Biden. Once he got that reappointment and he secured his tenure, then he went ahead and increased rates because it would have been sort of bad optically to have done that before. Whether you believe that to be true or not, it is what some people are discussing. So, again, I think this all comes back to the politicization of the Fed and whether you believe it's a political body or, neutral and data dependent, as I like to make it.
And I think that conversation can be had considering the previous two cuts. Would Jerome have made, maybe one of them I think he would have made, but the other one, do you think he would have if he didn't felt pressured by the current administration?
Yeah, that's another great question.
Right? So for me, I don't think he would have, right? Because they're running into that 2% target and you have maximum employment as well too. A little bit of an uptick, but the labor market still seems relatively strong. And then also you have the hyperscalers, which I think plays a massive influence, are CapEx heavy in sustaining the labor market.
Another thing I want to mention is that we've been floating different names around, Kevin Hassett, Kevin Warsh. One is, kind of the favored candidate during one period of time, and then the other one will be the lead candidate. What I was hearing was Kevin Hassett's back in contention as a lead candidate because they're worried about having the Senate approve a different candidate. Well, the Senate's already approved Kevin Hassett for his current role. So they were saying, that it would kind of be contrary to the Senate's tradition to approve them and then, in a different role than, kibosh the approval. So it's so many different variables. We'll have to wait and see.
And someone said, and they're right, like Donald Trump did appoint Jerome Powell, right? But he also, I think he was playing in a little, again, we try to say it's a separate entity, but I think he was working in favor with Joe Biden. A lot of the inflation came in from the COVID spending as well, too.
Of course, we know that. That happened all over the world, though, to be fair.
It happened all over the world here, and it literally happened everywhere, but he was slow on the trade.
I agree.
He was extremely slow.
I think he was slow.
He shouldn't have allowed it to get to 8%, 10%?
9. We saw a 9 handle.
Exactly.
Anyway, let's get Adara's take on the Fed.
I have a couple things to say. We know that I love watching this stuff. I'm very excited to watch this and cover for you guys. At 2:30 p.m. is going to be the speech. But here's the thing. I think regardless of all of these other political stuff and whether or not Jerome Powell is Mr. Too Late and all of that. I think the biggest thing worth noting regardless is there is still division at the Fed. Like only 75% of the voting members, 9 of the 12 voting members actually voted for that most recent rate cut. So there is, or sorry, that most recent hold. So there is a lot of, I think, division and discrepancy within the Fed, regardless of all these other outside forces. That being said, I mean, by all accounts, every Fed speaker I've heard say that has basically said, regardless of all of these concerns here with outside forces, they've actually handled things pretty well. Like there's, there wasn't any tension with Lisa Cook, no animosity with Stephen Myron. Everybody's doing what they can. So I think I don't really expect that to impact any decisions, in my opinion. Fed Chair Powell is also very good at staying cool under pressure, which is why I highly doubt he's going to address directly, at least other than to say no comment, any of the allegations with regards to this suit. Furthermore, CNBC was reporting earlier today that apparently the Fed hasn't even responded to that subpoena yet, so that's probably going to be interesting to look at going forward. Yeah, I think it should be an interesting meeting just to kind of see if we get more dissenting votes, because we've had dissenting votes, I believe, every single meeting from July onwards. So I want to see, are the Feds going to vote together? Are they going to vote as a union once again? What color tie will Jerome Powell wear? Probably purple. But no, all jokes aside, I think this will be a good one. I'm very excited to watch it and check it out. Also, guys, keep an eye on INTU and HRB. Robinhood announcing that they're testing a tax filing format or program. But either way here, neither of these stocks really moving on that. Back to you.
Thank you very much. Sia, what do we got next?
Next up, we have NVIDIA. So China has cleared the H200 sales to big tech, but there are certain strings attached here. Chinese authorities have approved sales to ByteDance, Alibaba, and Tencent to buy over 400,000 NVIDIA H200 AI chips. The move is signaling Beijing's attempt to balance surging AI demand, and the approval came, as we know it, after NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang's visit to China, which is underscoring a certain political and strategic sensitivity to the situation. The approval also came with certain conditions that are still being finalized and said by certain sources, so we don't know what exactly these conditions are, but we will soon. And these Chinese officials have also previously warned companies to buy foreign chips only when absolutely necessary. So this is also a certain underlying issue to it. What are these reasons that are so necessary for China to allow buying of these foreign chips so soon, so sudden? What do you have to say about this?
So one of the major whispers right now is that the Chinese regulator is going to force these tech companies on a one-for-one basis. You want to buy one NVIDIA H200? Fine. You got to buy one Huawei Ascend. And they're going to insist on that so that money can continue to flow into domestic chip development. That's one of the rumors. The Chinese regulator, kind of hard to get anything from them at face value. Typically, we'll get a response later. The second is this Jensen diplomacy. Everybody was saying, oh, yeah, he always goes for lunar, what is it called, Lunar New Year week or whatever. Yeah, okay. He's got 2 million orders. He doesn't know he can get these chips into the country, but he's going to go there, and just chill and probably just hang out with buddies. Of course he's not, man. He's going there to secure deals, to meet with the regulator, to meet with the brass of these Chinese tech companies so that he can get some sort of firm orders. Secondly, there's a growing skepticism right now of how many of these 400,000 units will actually ship in the near term. Point here is, they had, my understanding, about 700,000 H200s that they had right now that they could ship. But they got about 2 million orders, if you believe the earlier report. So does that create a bottleneck in the inventory? They're going to be able to ship 400,000 now. But number one, you'd be giving one country the majority of your supply. And number two, you can't even meet 50%, barely 25% of the demand, if you believe that 2 million number there. And then what else? There is that 15 to 20% fee factor that I don't really care about. Anything else that I want to mention here? No. Joey, your take.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting. I know a while ago we had some of these larger names like Alibaba actually apply for the permit to start purchasing these things. But what I'm really looking forward to is Jensen going to include this in his forward guide? Now, I want to know, is this going to be included? Because we know on previous reports that it wasn't.
Zero.
So zero.
Yeah.
Zero. So is this going to be included? And if it is, what does that mean for NVDA stock?
I think it's going to skyrocket and break out through some previous.
If it goes through, you mean? Yeah.
If it goes through, he's allowed to ship them. He can send as many. Well, the 400,000, obviously. Now, is he going to implement that into his guidance?
I agree. That's an interesting one there. Sia, what do we have next?
Next up, we have Amazon. Amazon has officially confirmed the elimination of 16,000 corporate jobs after sending an accidental email, but it confirmed that it is going to be doing that, which is marking its second major layoff wave since October. Management has framed the decision as a part of its effort to reduce layers, increase ownership, and remove bureaucracy. The layoffs are coinciding with Amazon's push to invest aggressively in artificial intelligence as we know it, and CEO Andy Jassy has been reshaping the organization after its pre-pandemic era overhiring, as said. And the leadership has emphasized that this is not meant to establish a recurring cadence of mass layoffs, though future targeted cuts are not ruled out. Amazon employed 1.58 million people as of its third quarter, with the vast majority in logistics and warehouses, which are not the primary focus of these cuts. So, as we know it, this move has followed the 14,000 job layoff cuts in October, which brings the total reductions to 30,000 roles.
We're not going to ever celebrate people losing their job, but now we've got about 30,000. As Sia mentioned, 16,000 this time around, 14,000 in October, roughly 10% of the white-collar corporate workforce. We know that they employ 1.58 million people worldwide, the majority of which are employed at the warehouse level, not at the corporate level. But what I want to talk about here is Amazon's botching of these layoffs and the communications that comes with them. It's I think the second time in so many months. Let's see over here. The second time in 3 months they've botched the communication of layoffs. If you don't know what they're talking about, apparently they accidentally sent the email, which was basically talking about this Project Dawn, which is the layoffs, to people who weren't actually slated to be laid off, and it had the names of their cohorts, people that they work with, that were going to get laid off. That is just not good for corporate morale, right? I mean, you don't want these people, you know, wondering, am I going to have a job tomorrow, and the insecurity that comes with that. I think it definitely affects productivity. Also, this bureaucracy tax that Andy Jassy keeps talking about, he is of the opinion that Amazon got way too big, way too quickly, because it grew pretty aggressively during COVID and after COVID, as well as people's tendencies to go shopping online continued after that. And he's like, look, we got way too big. We need to become the world's largest startup, and we need to have that mentality going forward. So if you believe that this is why he's doing these layoffs and they're not AI related as a result of productivity gains, then, you know, I think everything is fine and dandy. Of course, the 30,000 people who got laid off, it's not fine and dandy for them. But I mean, then you won't have, as Sia was saying, this kind of continued cadence of layoffs. Because if it was going to be AI related, you can only imagine that it would likely be the first step in the mass layoffs. Like, I mean,
if it was AI related,
like we're in AI 1.0. Let's just go with that.
Yeah.
AI 1.0 right now, and you're laying off 30,000 people. What are you going to be laying off in AI 2.0 and 3.0? You see what I'm saying? So if you believe that.
Well, we already know kind of, even though it said a lot of the employees are coming from the warehouse, I think that's where you're going to start to really see the cuts coming in, right? With the robotics. The robotics standpoint. I mean, obviously with the bureaucracy, again, you know where I stand with that. You got to cut all of it out. Unfortunately, we live in a country where it's just riddled with bureaucracy, and sure enough, it hinders, right? Donald Trump was saying in itself, for every new regulation that we make, we're making up to 20 cuts.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's not necessarily the case here. But hey, if you're taking a step in the right direction, I like everything to do with Amazon personally, and I think that AWS is going to outpace its retail business at some point if it hasn't already. So you're going to see some cuts, and I think it's going to start with the bigger cuts are going to come into the retail or into the warehouse segment, especially once you get more of a bigger picture and broader picture of the robotics.
100%, I agree with that. That's just a matter of time, sadly. I think we're talking about Microsoft next, Sia.
Yes, we are talking about Microsoft. Microsoft is set to release its fiscal second quarter, with analysts are expecting an EPS of 3.86 and a revenue of 80.26 billion, which is up 3.23 billion year over year. Expectations are elevated. There's strong execution across cloud enterprise software and AI-driven services. Street consensus is also calling for a third quarter EPS of 3.67 and revenue of 79.5 billion to 80.6 billion, in that range, which is implying a mid-teens year-over-year growth. And markets are appearing comfortable with the higher spend for now, but there are signs of margin compression which could trigger certain volatility.
So two things I want to mention here. Azure, that's number one. That's their primary engine, their growth engine. That's where their margins are in the 70-something, 80% something, or 80 some odd percent. So right away, I'm going to be looking for Azure. But a bit of a different take here. I want to hear more about this Maya 200 AI chip. That's a custom ASIC, right? Application-specific integrated circuit. And it's not directly relevant to Microsoft. Well, in the short term, probably not going to be directly relevant to their profitability, but it will be to a very other big name, and we're talking, of course, about NVIDIA. If we start seeing these hyperscalers, who are NVIDIA's biggest customers, take a different path to AI data centers and the chips that they use in the data centers by creating and making their own chips, custom ASICs, I think that's a huge headwind for NVIDIA. So I'm going to be very, very interested to hear about the custom ASICs, both from Amazon with their Trainium, Google with their tensor processing unit, and now Microsoft with Maya. That to me is the most interesting story, because right now the largest company in the world, NVIDIA, is really banking on the hyperscalers continuing to spend and spend with them, not just spend. So that's my take there. Joey, what do you got on Microsoft?
Yeah, I mean, you and I, Sharif, have sat at this desk for quite some time now, and we've had the benefit of sitting through multiple earnings reports. And what I'm getting at here essentially is the growth within cloud itself. Azure is definitely going to be the fuel to the fire. Yeah, gold is breaking out, guys, by the way. But I think, like you mentioned yesterday,
sure,
NVDA is ready, their game, right? Jensen's rather a peacetime CEO or a wartime. He's starting to acquire the custom silicon as well,
he did, yep,
right? So he's ready to partake in this. And I mentioned this yesterday. When you hold so much share, there's only essentially one way that you can go. People are going to start taking market share from you, whether they start building their own things, the hyperscalers, whether it be Meta, Google, or Microsoft. There's only one way, but can this be sustained? Absolutely. Why? Because look what we're talking about now. Jensen and company shipping H200s over to China. So there's going to be other ways he can subsidize from what he's going to lose from share here, maybe in North America.
Yeah.
Right?
In the short term.
In the short term.
Yeah.
In the short term.
Yep.
But other than that, I think Jensen and company, I love what Microsoft has got going. I love Azure. Well, I don't know. I don't really personally use it, but just the growth within the cloud space itself.
You just like
I think it's
Copilot.
really strong. What's that? Yeah, I just like Copilot, essentially. Gold is going off. Gold is going, yeah, gold is going
two
off.
and three quarters right now. GLD, guys, big breakout right now in gold. So keep your eye on that. More all-time highs, obviously. All these higher highs are new all-time highs, by the way. 489.34 high a day right now on GLD. What are we talking about next, Thea?
Next up, we're talking about Meta and the earnings preview and the AI CapEx debate. Meta, as we know it, has historically been driven by advertising revenue, but their margins and balance sheet strength are now front and center of this earnings report. Wall Street is expecting revenues up 2.1% year over year to $58.4 billion, which is a solid growth. Expense growth is remaining the dominant concern, with a consensus of EPS growth of just 2% despite certain revenue gains. Key cost drivers including massive AI data center build out and rising R&D costs that are tied to these aggressive AI hiring. And Meta's 2025 capex is projected near $70 billion, which is nearly doubling from $37 billion back in 2024. CFO Suzanne Lee has also flagged that 2026 capex will be notably larger than 2025, with a full year spending potentially increasing $100 billion.
Yeah, that's going to be my first point right there. So listen to this. In 2024, Meta spent $37 billion in capex. On to 2025, $70 billion in capex, almost double, more. Oh no, less. And now we're talking about, again, CFO Susan Lee saying CapEx will be, quote, notably larger, with full year spending potentially exceeding $100 billion. Okay, fantastic. That's going to be great for the NVIDIAs, the Broadcoms, everybody else in the chip game. By the way, check out GLW Corning with their fiber optics. Amazing video on CNBC, by the way, if you want to learn more about that. But my concern is that's $100 billion.
Yeah.
Now, what did I keep saying yesterday about the difference between Microsoft, Amazon, and Google, and the difference between them and Meta? Those three are immediately able to monetize their AI ad spend because they're offering neocloud services, right? We know that Meta doesn't offer neocloud, cloud storage, or anything of that sort. It's advertising and or products.
Not yet.
Not yet, but they haven't made any indications that they're going to go.
No.
Right, so let's just take it with that. So that is my immediate concern, how they are able to monetize this in the short to intermediate term because their competitors are able to. So that has to change in the valuation, right? That's a risk.
That is a big time risk. And we've had Mark Zuckerberg run into these issues before. And you and I have talked about this, whether it be with Reality Labs and or the metaverse. Zuck's been in these issues where they're like, hey, man, you're spending too much money on one thing.
Right.
But one thing, I think what the ability where he can kind of recuperate this is obviously the paid tiers. We've been talking about that for quite some time, whether it be on Instagram, whatever. And then the digital ad revenue within Instagram itself is going to continue to grow. It is alarming on how much he's going to spend, and the inability to monetize that specifically is extremely important. But also, I think he's going to be able to subsidize because he's going to be cutting from Reality Labs, 30% there, and he asked for the most funding for this funding round. He's cutting the most from where he is losing the most. So it sounds like he's relatively he's done it before. I'm not going to count Zuck out. I think he'll have a good opportunity to monetize and see an ROI on his spending.
We got to go to Adara with headline news.
We do have quantum news, guys. NVIDIA saying that Congress must reauthorize the National Quantum Initiative, QBTS. On watch here, we have QUBT, which did, as you can see, get a little bit of a spike here when this first came out a couple minutes ago. IONQ pushing here near days highs, and RGTI would be the other name to watch here, Rigetti. So again, quantum names on watch. NVIDIA saying that Congress must reauthorize the National Quantum Initiative. Back to you.
Keep your eye on quantum names then, obviously, right?
Yeah, keep your eye. There goes Starbucks, though, guys. $100.43. We're short from this. Starbucks now trading down to 97.05 on SBUX there. I told you, 196. We might head into 196 there, guys. Or sorry, $96 on Starbucks.
What are we talking about next, Sia?
Tesla reports Q4 earnings after the close, and analysts are expecting an EPS of 4.30, down from 5.71 year over year. Revenue is projected at $99.5 billion, slightly below prior expectations. And Tesla has beaten earnings estimate in 2 of the past 4 quarters, but consistently has slipped versus its previous years. And Tesla continues to invest heavily, as we know it, in AI, autonomy, and manufacturing efficiency, keeping CapEx elevated. Investors will also scrutinize commentary around global EV demand, especially in Europe and China. Tesla's energy storage and solar segments are also continuing to grow, but remain smaller contributions to overall earnings. It's funny, I was listening to a podcast yesterday called Compound and Friends, and they were talking about this is your last chance to get rich, the Mag 7 earnings. And one of the things that Josh Brown and Michael Butnick said here was, you know, Tesla, whatever Elon Musk says, if he says something, if he says that they're going to launch certain robo-taxis, if he says they're going to do this or do that, it is just going to keep Tesla stock rising. It's not going to plummet.
That's a great point there. See, here's what I'm focusing on the most. I want to hear about Cybercap production, which is slated to increase. They're supposed to really ramp up production first to second half of this year. Really, let's see when it does. And number 2, it's supposed to be the Optimus ramping up production towards the end of this year or early next year. So I want to hear about those 2 right away. But I think one of the more underreported or least talked about divisions of Tesla is their energy. And it's actually been quite a good one because it's been growing faster than the other ones. So energy storage, we're talking about solar, we're talking about batteries, not just for home use, for commercial use. I want to hear about that. That's the one that's least spoken about. It's basically, I mean, it's not the top line number, but it's growing growing at a faster CAGR and faster growth rate than any of the other divisions. So those are the things for me. And then if he has some color on FSD and possibly the SaaS model that he's going with now, everybody's making jokes, SaaS is dead, SaaS is dead.
Yeah, why is everybody saying that?
Because of AI, right? That's why, right?
Yeah.
But in this case, the AI is literally the SaaS.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
so, you know, is SaaS dead, at least maybe from autonomous driving? That's what I want to hear. And I want to hear some commentary too about, does he have any price increase plans?
within his, because you know his margins are garbage.
Well, no, not for the cars, for the FSD.
for the FSD.
It's $100 a month now. You can't even buy it at point of sale anymore for forever and ever, right? You got to pay that $100 a month. That's $1,200 a year minimum per car, right? Is that going to move up to 150? Is that going to be? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I want to hear plans about that because that's margin expanding.
Yeah, I agree with that on that front, Sharif. The segments that we want to keep an eye on, obviously, is the energy storage. Robotaxi production, I don't think we're going to have any issue with that. As long as he continues to expand his geofence, we know that we got going on in Austin. He's starting to get into more major cities. That's huge, right? And the more cities that he's going to get in, he's going to have the ability to ramp up that production, in my opinion. I don't want him to jump the gun too early. Even though we're waiting for this, I think if he's patient, gets the approval. We know he's having some issues in California right now as well, too. He's beating around the bush in some regulations. Until we get more clarity on that, I think he's playing it really smart. It's only a matter of time until, in my opinion, that Robotaxi surpasses Waymo, everything would go full. Silver is absolutely tanking. The market is, gold is tanking as well, too, by the way. Just keep an eye on that, guys. Yeah, gold is really tanking, and so is silver heading towards the downside. But as for Tesla's energy storage, what is his future predictions for Robotaxi? Is he going to increase margins anyway by increasing the SaaS on your FSD subscriptions, everything along those lines? But as for Tesla, it's one of the most forward-looking names. We know from an earnings standpoint, he's not overly consistent. You have a couple misses and beats here and there, right? That's just the reality of the car business. But we're starting to slowly sway away from that. And I think his next big steps are in the energy storage and expanding his geofence with Robotaxi.
And I also want to mention one thing that Ichiro said. I want to hear more about the Semi. I know it's not the big mover. They're probably not going to be able to produce it en masse nearly as much as they make, you know, the Model 3 and the Model Y. But it is actually probably going to be a higher margin product because it's going to be B2B, right? Not B2C. And usually B2B is way higher margins because, well, businesses have deeper pockets than consumers for the most part. So I want to hear more about that.
I want to say this as well.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of people, it's funny, I was listening, I forget what news channel it was, but anyways, they're going on with Dan Ives. The lady said, I don't know how I feel about getting into a vehicle with no driver. Dan Ives is like, well, obviously I'm going to do that. Anyways, aside from what that individual had to say, you know how many friends in the morning time I wake up to, I wish I had a Robotaxi to drive me to work? That's just,
100%. Oh,
dude,
God, yeah.
I hear it in the group chat every morning pretty much,
Bro,
dude.
my next car is going to have air suspension, big-ass tires because of all the fantastic potholes that we have, and it has to have FSD. Because I'm not driving like a schmuck to work anymore,
So, I mean, like, if you don't, again, it's like Blockbuster, man. You got to catch up or you're going to fall behind. I know it's not the best comparable, but it's what it's going to be. Like, Katina's man's kids, I'd be surprised if they're going to be even driving vehicles at that time. Same with Neil's kids as well, too. It's just going to be all press the button, type it into the GPS, and sure enough, you get to go where you're going.
Adira, give us your take on Tesla.
Yeah, I think it was funny. I was kind of saying just here, the only way I will ever be able to drive is through Elon via Neuralink or FSD. So, I mean, if, you know, sleepy time. So I think if we can get that happening, that'd be pretty cool. Shout out to Elon on that. Now, in terms of the actual earnings, though, for Tesla, Elon does like to, we've heard of under-promise, over-deliver. Unfortunately, Elon does sometimes do the opposite. I showed you guys that Wikipedia page last week where we had a whole plethora of promises that Elon has made, and only 2 of them have been fulfilled, and that was going back to 2013. So I think, and that's specifically with Tesla's business. So just be aware of that. I do want to talk, though, about this little visual I made. You can find it on X at TTV Research. Pretty interesting look here. You've got operating margin pretty fluctuating here. Auto revenue relatively flat, more or less. Operating income a little bit more fluctuating. And these top 2 graphs here show the year-over-year changes for auto revenue and operating income over the last 2 over the last 4 quarters. So it's interesting, your operating income has only dropped year over year in the last 2 quarters. So I think if we even get a year over year increase in operating income, I would be pleased as punch. So that's going to be, I think, a good look here for TSLA if we can even get that, because the last 2 quarters has dropped in the ballpark of 40% year over year here, that operating income for TSLA. So that should be an interesting look. It's probably what I'm looking here for earnings. Also, guys, be careful after during the earnings call, because Elon Musk does have the propensity to say some wild things in the earnings call, and we know that the stock has moved wildly at that time.
Thank you very much for that, Adair. First of all, thank you to the Perception Engine $10 super chat. Today's show is a banger. Thanks to all at Trader TV Live. No thanks to you. And then Danny Boys, something there with $20.
Oh,
Joey had to explain this to me. Joey, you got to read this out.
Yeah, this guy is absolutely hilarious. I got to see who this individual is. All right, speaking of great earnings forecast, 1 week from now, while the Patriots are away at the Super Bowl and all their employees have the day off, Fox or stadium will be completely empty with nobody guarding their 88 bathrooms.
Why do you know how many bathrooms they have? You're talking about the cheese thing,
yeah,
right?
stolen cheese dispenser.
This guy's losing it. I love it.
This guy is hilarious. Oh man, you're honestly your type of humor, man. If you didn't say that you were a Patriots fan, I would think you're from the UK or something with just the sense of humor.
That dry sense, yeah.
This guy is absolutely hilarious. I had a hard time reading that. Oh man, shout out to, I'm pretty sure it's Stolen Cheese Dispenser Inc. Ticker SCDI. One of the hottest out, man. Yeah, this guy's Danny Boy. Yeah, Danny Boy he's a comical individual, man.
By the way, guys, just before we go back to SIA. Oh yeah, no, it's not down. Somebody said Carvana's down 20%. No, it's down 8.6, so it's not quite there. But SIA, we're talking about gold next, and gold is moving.
Gold is ripping to record heights. Dollars cracking, and Spider Gold shares tracked a Spider Gold shares have seen $5,200 per ounce for the first time ever, marking a major technical breakout. U.S. gold futures have also jumped 2.6%, confirming strong participation across physical and paper markets. The U.S. dollar, however, has slid to a near 4-year low, triggering aggressive inflows into gold via strong inverse correlation, and analysts are describing the dollar slide as a crisis of confidence, accelerating certain safe haven demand. U.S. President Donald Trump also said that the rates would fall once a new Fed chair is appointed, which will add to long-term rate cut and weaker dollar expectations. Other metals also I want to include here. Spot silver rose to 113.63, nearly 60% year to date after recently hitting record highs. And platinum and palladium have also advanced, confirming broad-based strength across precious metals.
Great call, Sia. By the way, I just have to correct myself, guys. Carvana is down 20%. It's down 19.85%. My chart wasn't updating. I do apologize. This could be the mother of all double tops, 480. And then there's your neckline, and it's already lost that level. Bless you, Katina, man. That was a 390 area low. It's $10 below that now, into 381. Carvana is bleeding and bleeding aggressively. There's a short report about it. You can go ahead and read about that. It is from, I'll just give you the name of them, Gotham City. So you can go ahead and read about that. I've read it twice already on the show, but Carvana is losing it and losing it quite aggressively. Now, with respect to gold here, I have a couple of things to say about this. My bias on these precious metals is they're going to trend for a lot longer, okay? One of the first things that I learned when I read Technical Analysis of the Financial Markets by John J. Murphy is that commodities have a tendency to trend for longer than equities. So I think we're probably going to see maybe a multi-year run for these precious metals, which is supported by fundamentals. Think about, the central banks who are all, de-dollarizing or, not holding U.S. dollar as a strategic currency reserve, and they're instead choosing to go into the precious metals, mostly gold. So I like that. And we see the U.S. dollar showing signs of that as well. The dollar and gold are inversely correlated, almost like, interest rates and bond prices, right? As bond prices go up, interest rates go down and vice versa. So they're inversely correlated. And we've seen President Trump's indifference to the weakness in the US dollar. Some might say he actually wants it this way because he wants to increase exports. When your currency is weaker, it makes your products made for export more attractive to countries with a stronger currency or more relatively strong relative to where it used to be. So I think that you're getting sort of a double win here. You're getting de-dollarization because of the instability or perceived instability of the United States as a trade partner or whatever else, and you're getting the current administration who doesn't really mind a weaker US dollar because they want to increase exports. So I think it's kind of a perfect storm, so to speak. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure, I'll get you to skip me on this one because I'm trying to manage something here right now. See what we got going on.
No worry, Joey, no worry. All right, Sia, what are we talking about next?
Next up, we have ASML. ASML has reported Q4 bookings of 13.2 billion euros, more than twice street expectations of 6.32 billion, which is marking a record quarter for orders. Q4 net sales came in at 9.7 billion euros, which is modestly above the expectations of 9.6 billion euros, while net profit of 2.84 billion missed consensus of 3.01 billion euros. And the company announced a 12 billion euro share buyback program, which will be running through the 31st of December 2028. And this is definitely a significant upgrade from when the management initially stated that 2026 revenue growth was uncertain.
The number one thing to me on ASML is the insane bookings that they had for Q4. 13.2 billion euros. The street was expecting 6.32 billion euros. How is that such a variance? So that to me was the one that kind of stood out the most. Now the report for the current quarter wasn't blowout. I think they missed on a couple of things. Let's talk about this. Q4 net sales 9.7, modestly above the 9.6. Net profit missed 2.84 million euros. That missed the 3.01. And the slight profit miss was obviously overshadowed by the insane bookings. Near-term margins as well remain less critical, given their longer business cycle. If you know how long these EUV machines or even DUV machines, they're going to be used for a long time by the company. So that was kind of the main thing for me that we announced there. I also, less important to me are the share buybacks. Not bad. I never want to celebrate this as well, but 1,700 job cuts, mostly in the Netherlands, that probably helped shore up corporate costs. One headwind, though, and this is very seldomly talked about, is China. It's expected their revenue, percentage revenue, used to be 33% of the revenues to come from China. That's going to fall down to 20% now. My understanding is they're looking to address this because now they've gotten the nod that they can sell more deep ultraviolet lithography machines to China. They're still obviously prohibited from selling the extreme ultraviolet lithography machines. So that's kind of what I like about it, but there are, of course, headline risks. China is a headline risk in more than one way because we've been talking about the Chinese looking to replicate their technology. That could come out at any minute, and that headline, I promise you, will send ASML tanking, even if it's in the short term. That headline that China is come out with its own possible extreme ultraviolet lithography machine, even if it's not replicatable en masse, is going to send this one down. When you're a monopoly, you have that kind of headline risk. So that's my take on ASML. Obviously, I should tell you guys I'm obviously invested in the name, and it's one of my larger positions. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, to add to your point, Sharif, the backlog is up about 38 billion euros, which is substantial. The guidance is looking pretty good. Gross margin increase as well, too, for full year 2026, looking around 51 to 53%. So that's some pretty solid margin, if you ask me. As for this stock, Sharif,
yes, sir.
From a technical standpoint, we go to that March level. This thing is doubled. It's more than doubled from April. All right, 155%. You're getting a little bit of a pullback right now on the earnings report, but the trajectory that this name has been on, and Sharif mentioning that, hey, you're essentially running a monopoly in the space. Yeah, until you hear something from the Chinese, go with the flow, and that is going to be the flow with ASML is to the top side, up 155% from the April lows, brother. Monday, April 7th low, up 155%.
Yeah, it's been an aggressive one, Joey.
A good ride. That's a good ride, man. I mean, what do you mean? You've been outpacing the market drastically and everything.
Yeah. Well, it's just really the AI trade. We know it's the AI trade.
Yeah, it's an AI trade for sure.
All right, Sia, We're gonna pause for a sec. What are we doing,
that's on-
Assassino?
Oh.
Okay, no problem, no problem. All right, we're gonna head over to the big boys in a minute. Let's just do one more here, see how with TXN.
Yeah, Texas Instruments reported an EPS of 1.27, missing the consensus by 0.06, but still delivering a solid quarter relative to certain tempered expectations. The revenue came in at $4.15 billion, ahead of estimates, marking a 0.8% year-over-year increase. Also, despite the EPS miss, the stock, as you can see on my screen, has reacted positively as certain investors are focused on forward guidance rather than just focusing on backward-looking margins. Commentary has also suggested that improved demand for conditions across key industrial and automotive end markets. And honestly, TXN has reported a full year will report a full year 2025 results on the 5th of February, which could reset expectations for this year.
All right, Christopher Ocean, brother, we have mentioned Carvana, I think, like 20 times. It's a short report by Gotham, something or another. They're alleging accounting irregularities, and they're saying they're dealing with a non-arm's length party to kind of stack the deck and move debt onto them. We've mentioned it 100 times, brother. If you weren't with us, sorry, okay? But we've talked about it a whole bunch of times. Now, with respect to Texas Instruments, I like Texas Instruments not for the AI trade. They basically deal with all the less advanced nanometers, like 7 and above, 7, 12, whatever, right? And so, you know, there's still a market for those chips. Not everything has to be 5, 3, and 2 nanometers. We still need basic stuff like, you know, dishwashers, et cetera, microwaves, and all that is where Texas Instruments lives. What's the chart look like? What's your take on it?
TXN is looking pretty good. This chart on Starbucks is looking pretty good as well, too. There, Sharif will throw that in there. We're all out of Starbucks at those lows. But as for TXN, we'll pull it up for you guys before we send it over to the big boys with the FOMC. Now, as for TXN, not the cleanest always, but it was on a pretty hefty green streak, if you ask me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now 6 days to the top side, Sharif. And it looks like TXN wants to break